Hello and welcome to the 2020 Virtually Vanguard Matchup Livecast. I'm your TO, Mike Adkins. Joining me this evening, my panelists are Tim Smith. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
Mike Austin. Hey, Mike. And Kyle Dino Lord Poole. What's going on, gentlemen? So for those of you that haven't watched one of these things before, here's kind of the deal. First important note, safety tip, if you will. The contents of this broadcast are entirely meant for entertainment purposes only. Don't take anything personally that anybody says about your list or its contents. This is meant to be fun. There's definitely going to be some smack talking. There's definitely going to be some harsh criticism, but it is all in good fun. So don't take any of it personally. Everybody's going to get ribbed a bit on their lists and their chances in the tournament probably. So that's thing number one. So we're going to go through all of the pairings and lists for the first round. That's starting up tomorrow. Some folks who already know who their opponents are already playing their games, like if they're in a challenge match. And we're going to read lists. We're going to size up who we think has the edge, given the scenario and the map they're going to be playing on and the list that they're taking. And then our panelists are going to guess which guy they think, or girl, they think is going to win the first round match. And to make this fun, I give out a prize to the panelist that gets the most correct. So they will be dubbed the Oracle for this year. Mike Austin is the defending champion from last year. And I think that's about it. Am I forgetting anything?
No. That's how it works, Mike.
That is how the ship works. It's been so long. I'm like, am I forgetting anything about how we do these? So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about this event. Because there haven't been a lot of in-person GTs. And so there hasn't really been much of a third edition meta established. And normally my event is like a little local mid-Atlantic event with a few visitors from other regions, like Tim, who come to visit us. But this one is a bit different since it's online. So I thought first I would give people an idea of who the player base is and where they're from, and kind of a high-level view of what the lists look like, just to give people an idea of like what people are taking so far in third edition. So first, country breakdown. This is something I usually don't have to do because usually it's if like one person comes from the UK, I'm ecstatic. Or if Ray comes down from Canada, I'm like, sweet, I've got international representation. So we got 36 players. Only 21 of them are from the US. We got 6 people from the UK, awesome. 5 people from Spain, 2 people from Canada, and 2 people from down in Argentina joining us, which is great. So like 40% of the field is from outside of the US. That's awesome. Then just within the US, in terms of US regions that are represented, we've got 5 different regions represented. Only 9 people are actually from the Mid-Atlantic, where this event is usually hosted in person. Which is pretty big. Usually it's more like 20 out of 26 are from the Mid-Atlantic or something like that. So only 9, pretty cool. We got 5 visitors from the Southeast, 4 from the Northeast, 2 from the Midwest, and 1 all the way from the South. Still, fun mix. So let's talk about the armies that people are taking. So there's 19 different armies represented here out of 36 players, which is awesome. Pretty good spread, I think. The top 5 armies are 50% of the field, and those 5 armies are Salamanders, Undead, Trident Realm, Kings of Men, and Abyssal Dwarves. And Salamanders are actually the most popular army.
Yeah, right? That's not normal. Also,
it's not normal.
Why didn't you take goblins, guys? Jesus.
Undead and Abyssal Dwarves, no surprises there, but Salamanders and Kingdoms of Men, a little bit surprising. And it's not like like all of the UK players came and decided to bring Salamanders. It's like a few people from everywhere brought Sallies, which is kind of interesting. Only 4 armies have allies. 2 of them have the exact same allies for the exact same reason, and we'll see what that is when we get to it. And in terms of all the other armies that are represented, if they're not one of the top 5, there's either 2 or 1 of each of them. And the list of armies that aren't here are shorter than the list of armies that are. So that's what I've got there. Unsurprisingly, there are no elves. Surprisingly, there are no goblins. That's kind of weird. Brother Mark kind of didn't expect to see any of those. Free dwarfs, I kind of expected to see free dwarfs instead of Imperial, but c'est la vie. Twilightkin, I figured it was kind of a long shot. Ratkin Slaves and Herd, also kind of a long shot. So like the elves, Brother Mark, Twilight Kin, Radford Slaves and Herd. Kind of not a shock there, but no goblins and no free dwarves, I feel like is a little weird. What do you guys think?
I feel like my skill set's going to be wasted on this review, Mike.
Yeah, you brought a goblin herd player, and then there's no goblin or herd players for me to comment on.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm an elf player, so
exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm a
so
goblin
that's why
player.
they aren't in the tournament because you're all here.
Yeah, because we're all here.
All right.
Oh, is that how it works?
Called the wild card, guys.
Yeah. I usually try to get people who aren't playing in the tournament to commentate on the list. So there's
This
no
is the.
Of course, I'm
this
going to
is the
pick myself to
shame.
win.
This is the shame commentator list. The people who were like, Mike's like, they didn't bother to join.
You're not going to come. No. You have to have some impartial folks like looking from the outside who have no skin in the game.
I will vote for non-goblin armies because I don't have a choice.
There you go. See, you can't not be biased. So, in terms of the lists, what kind of lists are people taking at 2,300 points in 3rd edition? So let's talk about the drops. The highest drop list is 21, and the lowest has 10. Puts the average at 14, with a standard deviation of 2, which means about 70% of the lists are between 12 and 16 drops. That's about the size army you can expect to see.
10 drops, Mike?
Yeah. Somebody brought 10 drops.
I like that army, though. I can't wait to get to that one.
Yeah, it'll be fun. In terms of unit strength, the highest unit strength army has a total of 30, whereas the lowest has 18, which is still a pretty good amount, I feel like, even for like a low drop list. Actually, I think the lowest drop list isn't even the lowest unit strength list. Which gives us an average of about 24 unit strength with a standard deviation of about 3. So, almost 70% of the armies fall between 21 and like 26.5, 27 unit strength. So if your list falls within those parameters, you are a normal list for this tournament anyway. So that's kind of what the meta looks like. Now let's talk about some of the choices people have made in building their lists. Some of the things that stick out as trends or things that are different from 2nd edition to 3rd. So first, people have talked about war engines a lot. So what have people actually brought to the table? 9 lists have war engines, so that's a quarter of the field, which means chances are you'll play at least one list that has some war engines. The most, somebody did bring a 6 war engine list, and the least, somebody brought 2 with an average of about 3. So for the most part, like you'll probably play a list that has 3 war engines. That's what you can expect to see for one of your games in this tournament. Lightning bolts, however, people have talked a lot about lightning bolt spam being a thing in 3rd edition because it's kind of the best offensive spell now, a lot of people think. And as you can see, almost 40% of the lists have some amount of lightning bolt. Some of them don't have a whole lot, but some of them brought a shitload. So one of them has a full 27 lightning. And the least only has 2, which is one of those like the spellcaster I took just happened to have 2 lightning and I didn't do anything else with it. But on average, about 10. So you can plan for like 2 of the games you play to be against somebody that has like 10 or 12 lightning.
27 is a lot.
Yeah.
27 is a lot.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points too, but it's a
It
lot.
is a lot of fun.
But lightning bolts common now because the point cost ratio has gotten so much better in 3rd edition, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Which is nice.
So let's talk about the ability to hurt and heal sometimes at the same time. So drain life is something that some people spam. I'm not going to name any armies, but we know who I'm talking about. So there's 7 lists that have drain life in them. So that's about 20% of the field. So still, you can expect to play an army, at least one army that has drain life. The most has 18 drain life, and the least again has 2, which means there's just some caster that comes with drain life that they didn't bother doing anything else with. And on average, about 11. So figure at least one of your games is going to be against an army that's got like 10 or 11 drain life in it. In terms of heal, 10 lists have some amount of heal in it, which is again about a third of the armies, or a little less than a third of the armies, about 30%. And the most is at 12, and the least again is at 2, just because one of their casters comes with an average of 6. That's a lot of armies that have heal, but there's not so much that I feel like anybody really spammed it. Like just 1 or 2 of the lists kind of have a lot of heal, and I think only 2 of the lists have both drain life and heal, and they're both Empire of Dust, so nobody's shocked about that. But so there's a little bit of heal spread around, but no one army that seems to be banking on heal to get them through their games.
Which is kind of weird with the amount of Salamander players. You'd think one of those guys would have tried the light grind and heal it out list.
Yeah, the Salamander players, I think, more like wanted a bunch of 18-inch shooting. Than,
that's what I picked up, but we'll see it in the lists.
We'll see it in the list. So Phalanx, a rule that you basically never saw in second edition, but there was a lot of speculation that since they made it a little better in third, that you would start seeing it, and it would disincentivize people from taking cavalry heavy lists. And it was speculated that like even the threat of it might keep people from making cav lists. Well, we've got 5 lists that took Phalanx, which is probably 5 more than I saw last year, or maybe 4 more. Maybe one person had a Phalanx unit. And in terms of how many units with Phalanx, there's an army that has 3. There's an army that only has 1, and the ones that build, I think, have 2. So again, 14%. You might play one game against a list that has some Phalanx in it. Not huge, but if you've gone all cav, or you're Thunderous Charge reliant, you might run into a bad matchup at some point. And now for everyone who has been watching the Dash 28 live streams from Call to Arms, you will know that thick chaff is like the new hotness, if for no other reason than people like saying thick chaff. If you don't know what that is, that's going to be your Revenant cavalry troops or your butcher hordes, like large infantry hordes. Basically something that's like between 100 and 150 points, pretty good defense, possibly fearless, good nerve, will kill normal cheap chaff, but can still take a serious bump unless you send a real hammer in to kill it. So that's something that we had noticed that a lot of lists had in Call to Arms. So I thought I'd see whether that trend continued here. And again, 11 lists have some units that I would consider what we've been calling thick chaff. So it's about 30%. At most, there's some lists that have as many as 4. At least some people only took 1. And on average, about a third of the armies have about 3 of them. So again, in one of your games, you will run up against an army that has 2 or 3, kind of sturdy, thick chaff pieces.
Husky boys.
So for the round 1 scenario, we're going to be playing Smoke and Mirrors because I like starting with the complicated one and then getting simpler about the scenarios as we go.
It's an alcohol thing.
It's kind of an alcohol and fatigue thing, totally. So yeah, Smoke and Mirrors is one of those where you put out bluff tokens and then turn them over to see how much they're actually worth. And this is the map we're going to be playing on. So there you go, panelists. This is your opportunity to look at it and think for a second, because as it always, comes up during these broadcasts, people say, well, it depends on the scenario, or it depends on the terrain, or it depends on this or that. Like, I'm trying to give you guys as much information as I can so that you can make good predictions on who you think is going to win. So there you go. There's the map. Nice crowded table.
I still think it's going to depend on the scenario, Mike.
It's going to depend on who gets first turn.
It's going to depend on who gets to flip over the first token.
There you go. All right. So that's my preliminary spiel on the general state of the tournament. So without further ado, let's start going through the matchup, since that's what we're here for, and I've talked long enough. So on to the pairing. So we have 18 tables to go through. The first 4 tables are going to be our challenge matches for the evening, and the first one is going to be Joe Neat versus Shannon Shoemaker. And as I said, this is a grudge match. And I believe Shannon did anything. He did not. Joe. Joe is rocking one of the lists that had 4 thick chaff, so he gets the superlative for thickest boys for having the most thick chaff. And now let's start reading some lists. So Joe Neat's list is up first, and who's reading the first list? Kyle, I think you're reading the first list.
Sure, I'll read Joe. So Joe Neat took a list called VGT, so Vanguard GT. What a surprise! King is a min, and one thing worth noting: they're taking the same list every round. It's not like Call to Arms where it's all changed. This is the list you're bringing for the tournament.
Right.
There we go. Back to regular life. So King is a min at 2,300. He starts with a core of Spear Phalanx with Hammer Measured Force, so always wins on 4s. Indomitable Will, the BS upgrade Kings of Men get, and then exchange spears for pikes, so now they gain Ensnare. So they have Phalanx and Ensnare, which is gross. Into the Foot Guard, the meat and potatoes of Kings of Men, he has 3 regiments, one with Fire Oil and Crushing Strength 1, lowering to Defense 4, and then 2 others also with 2-handed weapons, no bonuses. So Fire Oil actually might be helpful looking at this tournament lineup. He has a Horde of Knights with Brew of Strength, as you do, and Indomitable Will. And those guys come stock with Headstrong. The old triple cannon battery. you dick. Army Standard Bearer with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness on a horse. Wizard with Inspiring Talisman, Bane Chant 2. He opted to replace Fireball 6 with Lightning Bolt 3, which I think is basically how all Kingdoms of Men wizards come now. And he put that guy on a horse. He has another wizard with Boomstick on a Pegasus, replace Fireball with Lightning Bolt 3. So he's got Lightning Bolt 6 on that guy. Unit Strength Flyer, pretty classic. And then he took the Captain. Guy's just great. If you don't understand who the Captain is, read it. Google. And then he took Night Stalker allies. Everyone is surprised. Yay.
So there's the thick boys. Yeah, two of the 4 armies that took allies took Night Stalkers, basically, so they could take Thick Chaff.
So he took 4 regiments of butchers, which at first glance you're like, this is kind of weird. There's no unlocks, but the regiment unlocks itself, and it's not irregular, so it's not restricted. So he just took 4 self-unlocking units.
Right.
With the Mind Thirst thing, they self-inspire. You guys know the drill. But that is his list. The allies total 21% of his army, and the core is 1,800, and he's good to go.
Cool. All right, let's pop over to Shannon's list, and I think, Mike, you're up.
Yep, we got some sallies here from Mr. Shannon. All right, so I'm out of the meta here, but maybe the underappreciated Scorch Wings. He's dropping 3 regiments of those guys. They're a pain in the ass if you don't know what they do. Go look them up. And he custom named them. How cool and clever. The meat of the army here, we have 3 hordes of Rhinosaur Cav.
Mike, we're going to need you to say those unit names. If he took the time to do it, you should be respectful.
Has Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding. Coyote. He's even got the little dot over the O, man. It's dedication. That horde has the Potion of Caterpillar, and peyote. Isn't that a narcotic?
Yep, that's a drug.
Okay. All right, Shannon, we're on to you, man. With a bladed slashing. So those are the hard-hitting rhinosaurs. We have a small regiment of Ember Sprites just to be annoying. Here's the shooting that Mike was talking about. 3 Lecholidons. I'm sure everybody else is telling me I'm pronouncing it wrong. Sue me. Oh, God. I can't pronounce this. Now, Battle Captain on Rhinosaur, because there's not enough Rhinosaurs on the list. And then 2 Clan Lords on Fire Drakes, which are just beefy, awesome dragons. I love them. One has Blessing of the Gods, and one has Brew of Sharpness, because why not? Hit on 3s with those 15 attacks, you sexy beast. Total units just 13, unit strength 22. No allies, because he's a man's man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So thanks, guys. So let's start with Tim. What do you think of this matchup?
I'm liking Shannon in this matchup. He's got enough plinky shooting, steady aim shooting, hitting on 4s. That'll kind of negate the stealth on the butchers. So he's got the ability to start plinking wounds on those fearless units. And then he's also got the speed on his side. Most of Joe's armies, just marching across the board on foot. But in this scenario, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Joe can sit back if he gets a couple lucky flips on some big point tokens. But overall, I'm going to go with Shannon. I think in the event as a whole, Joe Neat's army and the models he puts out are beautiful from what I can see on the internet. He'll probably do pretty well, but I think Shannon's got this round.
All right, Kyle.
So I'm going to start off. I love Joe Neat's army. It's in my play style. It's that I'm going to grind and just be annoying. But he's got a couple of flaws that Shannon's going to be able to exploit, and it's that his whole list rhymes with defense 4 and under.
Yep.
And Shannon has and he's got the phalanx and all that, but Shannon has a list built to just chip away with this medium annoying shooting, this 18-inch shooting, this little bits here and there. And at the end of the day, when the stuff does fight, his phalanx isn't going to matter to that base crushing. And that one ensnare horde, sure, you just let it do its thing and ignore it. Shannon's fast enough to ignore it. So even though I think Joe's army as a whole is nasty and that horde of knights you can't ignore and et cetera, I think Shannon has the edge. The only exception being the fact that there's a triple cannon. Yep. If Joe's able to get the first turn and Shannon makes a mistake in deployment, which can happen, and he's able to get all of those on one of Shannon's medium range targets. So whether he's able to take out put serious wounds on a dragon or take out one of the Lycilodons, that takes away one of Shannon's tools he has to have. But overall, I think Shannon's going to take it. I do think it'll be really close, but it's going to go to Shannon.
All right, Mike.
So if I didn't know the players, I would choose Joe's list because it's a strong list. The cannons can always ruin any battle plan. The big factor for me is Shannon's Scorch Wings. Because we are playing Smoke and Mirrors, you need speed to be able to respond once those tokens flip. And you need to know how to plan ahead for that. And I know Shannon well enough to know that he knows how to do that and how to maximize on the speed. Now there's Butchers are better now that they're not shambling, which is awesome, makes them so much better, but you're not going to be faster than 3 regiments of Scorchwings dancing around and annoying the shit out of you. So only because Shannon is playing this list, I will give him the upper hand. I think that Horde of Knights can cause a real problem, though, because if Shannon goes in with some Rhinosaurs and he gets just a slightly above average roll on a counterattack, he pops a Rhinosaur Horde in one turn. It's not that hard to do. That's terrifying for Shannon's list. So only because I know Shannon, I'm going to choose Shannon too. I like to be the guy that chooses the other, but I'm going to have to agree with the other 2 guys here.
Yeah, I like what you pointed out, Mike. The Crush 1 and access to Bane Chant means that Horde of Knights, even against defense 5 or even 6 later on in the tournament, still has the potential to one-shot pretty much anything.
Yep, it's terrifying. They sit in the woods. Come on, man.
All right, so that is a unanimous vote for Shannon, and I think I'm probably going to go with Shannon as well. I think it'll be a pretty close game, and it might swing on the dice, but in general, you don't bet against Shannon Shoemaker.
Yeah. Well, now you're a bandwagoner,
True.
Mike.
Now, not really.
Here's the thing. If Joe goes and pops like some hot round of cannon fire, it's game over. I mean, you pop a horde of Rhinosaurs turn 1, there's no coming back from it. So it's totally possible that Joe wins. I don't think it's a shoot in the bag by any means. Flip the bag, whatever the fuck you say. But yeah.
All right. Let's move on to table 2 then. On table 2, we have another grudge match. We're going to have Thomas Strother versus Mike Zettelmeyer. Let me see if we got anything fun about these lists. Nope, these are pretty straightforward. Okay. So then first list, I think we're around to Kyle? No, you started. Who's up next?
I was the last one to do the discussion.
So Tim. Okay, so Tim's up. All right, so this is Zettelmeyer's.
Mike Zettelmeyer. He is running 3 regiments of Paladin Foot Guard, one with the Healing Brew, all of them with the Aegis Fragment, and then another one with Headstrong. 2 troops of Gur Panthers.
Hold on. Don't gloss over the Paladin Defender's ability. One of them has Paladin Defender, which makes it more elite for all of those knights. It's pretty big deal.
That is a pretty big deal. I did miss that. 2 Gur Panther troops, Paladin Knight Horde with the Potion of the Caterpillar, Ogre Paliscar Horde, Chalice of Wrath, Paladin Chaplain Mounted, Mesa Crushing, a Priest with Bane Chant, High Dragon on Paladin, Blade of Slashing, the Aegis Fragment, the Mother of Phoenixes, and the Dragon of Heaven, Julius.
All in, baby.
All in.
Bringing the whole family. All right. And over to Thomas's list. Thomas is playing Abyssal Dwarves, and that's back around to Kyle.
Abyssal Dwarves, the Abbey D's. We have twin regiments of Abyssal half-breeds, my favorite half-breed. Brew of Strength on one, Caterpillar on the other. That's kind of how I see them most days. They're stocked with Vicious already and Regen 5 up. 2 hordes of Lesser Obsidian Golems, one with Healing Brew. Neither of them have the old belly cannon, so that's kind of different. The Abyssal Grotesque horde with Brew of Sharpness, pretty staple, also pretty disgusting. That's a unit remover. Double Heavy Mortars, could have took 3, but I guess he likes friends. Greater Obsidian Golem, yeah, give me a big old Gog. 2 Infernox, did not see that coming. They are as they are. 1 Hexcaster, replace Hex 3 with Weakness 3. No one is surprised. Ironcaster, replace Fireball with Surge 8. That makes sense. He's got a lot of shambling. And then my man, Baraka, or whatever, I don't know, BB.
Obama.
BB-8. He's coming in here with that very inspiring and one of the greatest special rules in the game. Just everything's disordered once per game. So a really neat list. His unit strength is racking up 18, but only 13 drops. So as a goblin player, that hurts. But I guess some people have expensive toys.
Yep, a little on the low end there. All right, Mike, what do you think here?
Ooh, I obviously know both of these gentlemen well. Thomas, for the record, has always been pretty good about not spamming war engines as bad as he can, despite playing Abyssal Dwarves forever. So you got an army that's high defense, low mobility versus a high mobility, lots of angles, lots of flying. Mike going in on all three, the Dragon, Samacris, and Julius, is going for speed, which, as I talked about last time, smoke and mirrors, that's massive. I give it to the fast army in this scenario, so I have to go Zettelmeyer's list.
Okay. Tim.
I was going to go with Zettelmeyer, but, I hate ordering the same thing as someone else at a restaurant, so maybe I'll go with Thomas. Or I really just don't want the 40 messages from Thomas I'll get if I vote against him. But I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'm going to go with Mike. Overall, I just like Mike's list. For me, is just more well rounded. He's got good backline units to go after objectives. He's got some good chaff, got good threat range, and then he's got his punchy units. And I mean, any list with a dragon I'm going to love, and especially a list that's got two special characters that are going to support everything else just amazingly, and they're phenomenal on their own. Thomas's list, I think Kyle hit on the head when we were looking at the lists. He wants to have friends. He only took 2 mortars. Just should have gone with the 3. Just should have done it. Just take the 3. Don't make friends. Win games. That's how I'd play my goblins. That's how I want these dwarves played. But overall, I played the games I played Thomas. I know he'll play it well and do well with it. But I think Mike's list is just going to do better overall.
All right, Kyle.
All right. So I also think Mike has it, but there's a caveat to that. There is a weakness to Mike's list, and that is Baraka's bot room. That ability to just disorder everything in that range can devastate an army that relies on things like fly. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, your stuff is trapped, and the Abyssal Dwarves don't have gargoyles. They don't have fast chaff, so Mike really gets to control the battlefield. But that one turn where Thomas is able to turn it off.
I don't think it gets to do that anymore.
Isn't that what it does? Did I completely forget what it is now?
No, I think that's last edition. Now he just has very inspiring and dread.
I thought Bada-Room was the special ability. Have I based my whole thing on a lie?
I was gonna say I was surprised because I thought
it gives him very inspiring and dread.
You're thinking
cool. I vote for Mike because my one ploy to save Thomas no longer exists in 3rd edition. I don't play Abyssal Dwarves.
You're thinking of the Slayer of Mankind or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Thomas, I'm sorry. My one plan to save you is now illegal in 3rd.
It never exists.
So if you cheat, you have it. No, I still like the list, but I think Mike has the chaff. Thomas just doesn't have anything to stop a dragon from getting where it wants to go. And with Heal, Iron Resolve, and Radiance Life, those are some of the best dragons in the game.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is to kill that fucking dragon.
It's tough. Hard. And again, if you don't have the special rule that doesn't exist anymore, my plan fails. So best of luck, Thomas. I know you're a fun guy to play, but I'm going to give it to Mike. Sorry.
All right, so that is again a unanimous panel vote for Zettelmeyer.
Mike didn't realize that we're all going to win that award because we're all going to do the same picks.
Oh, no, don't worry.
Well, the other thing, Mike didn't realize he brought an amateur caster in just using 2nd edition. So much easier.
That's right. Reading old lists. All right, so let's move on to table 3. Table 3 is another grudge match, and this is going to be Brindley versus Handsome Dan Kamak. So this is Canada versus Southeast.
Let's fuck
Is
this
anything
up.
interesting about these list? Nope. nothing there.
It is Hot Dan versus Brenly.
Yep. Hot damn. So let's go on to Brinley's list, and I think it's Mike's turn.
I have no idea. This is hard to keep
Sure.
track of. Oh man, Rahordia. Thank you. Love it. All right, we got Rahordia. We have a Halfling Brave Regiment. We got little stealthy bastards. They're not thick chaff. They're just halflings. We got a regiment.
They're just
Halfling. We have a spear phalanx with pikes. So they got that in snare. They got Indomitable Will. So phalanx and snare are a pain in the ass unit to deal with. The all necessary 3 hordes of honor guard. All 3 with Indomitable Will. 1 with Jesse's boots. I'm so annoyed having to say Jesse's goddamn name every time I read lists. So, 1 with Jesse's boots, 1 with Caterpillar, 1 naked. We got the Duke on Ancient Winged Arales. I don't know how to pronounce that bitch. I think is a great unit. The Baron on a horse with a Mace of Crushing. Then we got a Baron on Arales with a Blade of Slashing. Another great mid-range dragon type. And then we got a Standard Bearer with Banejamp. And then we have Wizard 1 with Conjurer's Staff, mounted on Pegasus for scoring purposes. Is fantastic. He's also big. We got another Wizard with a Boomstick, both of which are flipped over to Lightning Bolt, I'm assuming. I don't even need to read it, but yes, they are. So we got Lightning Bolters. One's got Heal and Conjurer's Staff as well. Then we have the Horde of Dogs of War for another horde of Ensnare Phalanx, hard to kill guys, except these are defense 5, so good luck to anybody getting through it. And then my all-time favorite units, the Battle Shrine. Anybody who's sleeping on that, look it up. It's awesome. There it is, 24 unit strength, 13 drops.
All right.
All right, and let's see. Dan is doing some Abyssal Dwarves. He's got 2 regiments of Black Souls, both with Throwing Mastiffs. 2 regiments of Immortal Guard, also with Throwing Mastiffs. Horde of Decimators with Blessing of the Gods. 3 regiments of mutated Mastiff hunting packs with Throwing Mastiffs. 2 hordes of Lesser Obsidian Golems, 1 with the Crystal Pendant and upgraded to have a Charnox, and 1 with the Sanguinary Scripture, also upgraded with a Charnox. 2 Heavy Mortars, trying to make friends. 2 Hexcasters, 1 with Inspiring Talisman, 1 with Tome of Darkness, both upgraded to have weakness over Hex. And then Baraka.
Yep. This is definitely one of those, like, who let the dogs out lists. Everything's got Mastiffs to throw, even Mastiffs.
It's the Puppy
It is called
Parade.
Puppy Parade.
It is, in fact, called Puppy Parade, and it is indeed a Puppy Parade. So that was Tim. All right, Kyle, what do you think about this matchup?
Well, let's start with Hot Dan. 1, that's a wonderful human being. So is Brinley, but he's not Hot Dan. I like the Puppy Parade list. I love Dog with Dogs. It's got a lot of chaff. It has a lot of screening potential. And one of the things those dogs do is they hunt heroes. They hunt stuff in cover. They don't care. So I've seen dog lists decimate heroes and special characters and things like that. Just all pile in and you're gone. The Crystal Pendant of Retribution on the Lesser Obsidian Golem Horde, I like that because that is a tough unit to remove. And when you remove it, it's just going to hurt you. And then he has the poke with the dogs and the Hexcasters and the Mortars to take that unit off. I like Dan's list. We go over to Brinley, and he's sort of running a classic Rhodia, not Rahordia list. The Triple Honor Guard is super annoying. The Dukes on Chocobos and all that stuff, I like it. I don't know if I've ever actually killed a Dogs of War horde before, especially with a Battle Shrine. There's a lot of poke in that list, so this is probably the hardest one to predict so far, because if League gets the poke on Dan's heroes, Dan's in trouble. If Brinley doesn't get the poke he wants, he doesn't have a lot of nerve to survive the dog damage or anything like that. So I'd say it's almost a coin flip, but looking at the mission, looking at that table, I am, despite my better judgment, going to give the edge to Brinley because he has enough flying scoring strength to play this mission better. And I have never wanted to vote for Brinley so little in my life. But I give the edge to Brinley over Hot Dan.
All right, Mike.
Can I pick after Tim?
Sure.
Go ahead, Tim. I'm going to
Well, I'm going to go with Dan Kamek because he's a Southeast boy. and I'm always going to support our Southeast boys, especially as they're going to go kick some, Northeastern Canadian ass. I do like Brinley's list a lot. I think Kyle makes a good point. He's got the flying capability to go out and get the higher point objectives when they pop up. He's got the speed with the honor guard to push in, especially when he knows where he put his higher point objective. He can focus on it to get across the board and take it away from Dan. The thing is, Dan is a pretty solid wall that he's going to have to hit to do that. And those throwing dogs are going to give those flying characters fits if they land in areas near any of these units, to be sneaky. So if Dan holds on to those, he can throw them out late game, pick up those flying units, or even the end of the game. And I can't fall back on my good old, well, Dan's got a beautiful army because this is all virtual, so none of that matters. But because he has a beautiful army sitting on a shelf, I'm going to give it to Dan.
All right, Mike.
That's fair.
I just think relying on throwing masses to do your damage in the list is just, I don't like it. That's where I'm standing. I'm going Brindley. He's got the damage, and the Bisseldorf army is tough, but Brindley's got the speed, which is what I'm voting on this turn. So I'll go Brindley.
Okay, you're going to go for Brindley, and I think this time I'm going to go for Dan because I do like Brindley's list, but I liked it better when Tom Robinson played it. So.
See, I don't know these things.
And I want to give a quick shout out to Thomas. I do love you, buddy. I'm already up to 20 messages from him for my pick 4 seconds ago.
I think I blocked him, so he might be trying to message me. But
moving on to table 4. This is another grudge match. This is going to be Bart Kohler versus Sean McCormley. So this is a Mid-Atlantic on Mid-Atlantic violence match.
BK.
Who grudged who on this one? That's
I forget.
Very
so Bart is actually playing Trident Realm, and I think Mike was supposed to talk last. Who are we back to in the order?
Tim was last, so it's Kyle for the first read.
All right, so back to Kyle.
All right, I got Bart.
Yep.
So, hi Bart. I love you. You're an awesome guy.
Best guy.
Best guy. So you're playing Trident Realms of the Black Lagoon. Could have picked goblins, but it is what it is. 2 regiments of placoderms with phalanx defense 6. A little slow, but they don't die. And then Bart's not here to make friends. He's here to make trophies. 3 regiments of depth horrors. 3 hordes of depth horrors. 2 knuckers. Double Kraken. Double Depth Horror Eternal. I wonder what they're going to inspire. And then a Naiad Envoy with Bastion, because that's the only reason you take that guy. That's his whole list. 15 drops, but 27 unit strength, and not a one of them is fragile.
Indeed. Very cool. All right. Let's move
All right,
on.
Shiny boy. Sean, I miss you dearly, my friend.
All right.
I get to read your list. All right. Leaves and got a little name, Born of Fire. All right. We got some Abyss coming from Sean, who, of course, is a clubmate here. Rocking 2 regiments of Succubi, both of which have been given Pathfinder to be awesome. We got 3 troops of Flame Bearers and 1 regiment of Flame Bearers for that nice fireball shooting. Molochs. I never thought I'd be saying this, but we have 2 regiments of Molochs and a horde of Molochs. Am I pronouncing that poorly too, Kyle? You want to shit on me again?
No, it's acceptable. I allow it.
Okay. He gave them the upgrade to get them fearless and brutal. I don't know if that makes them good or not, but they're still there. He's got a regiment of Abyssal Horsemen with some West Virginia dudes, boots of striding. We got a Seductress with a blade of slashing to be annoying. We have 2 Abyssal Warlocks. One has a Bane Chant. One has a Blood Boil. And then we have our Manifestation of Baal. This is the ability that you were thinking of, Kyle. If you see here, it's called From the Pit I Curse Thee. This ability is a range attack used once per game. Once it's used, all enemy units within 6 inches of Baal become disordered. That's what you're
Oh, yeah, you should use that in your game, Thomas.
Mike, that was a great counter shit on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and you pronounced all the words right.
In theory. In theory.
That's
All right, so I think
the
that's
ability
over
I was thinking of. You're right.
I think
My-
that's over to Tim for a
My
prediction.
favorite list here is the Trident Realms list. Bart. I like that list. It's got a lot of stuff in it that I like. But I don't think
There's
it's I
3
don't,
units. He's
I
got
don't think it's going to win. So I'm going to pick Sean. The depth whores are always really punchy and hitty, but they're just so low defense. I just don't. And you got a lot of plinky shooting to come in with that low defense on. You're just going to pick up regiments, and then the hordes aren't going to have anything to support them. Placoderms are tough, I guess. And the Knuckers. I hate Knuckers, but what are you going to do? Yeah, I'm going to go with Born with Fire. Sean, you're going to win this. Might be my ridiculous pick of the night, but you're going to do it.
All right, over to Kyle.
All right. So I've never said this out loud before, but I think the Flame Bearers might be the secret.
This matchup. Yeah.
I've never looked at a matchup and I went, yeah, Flame Bearers are going to be what does it. Flame Bearers are really annoying when you're Trident Realms in defense 3. Wounding on 2s is rough. I say that because as a counterpunch, nothing else in that list is really going to hurt Ensnare hordes with Phalanx. Either the Phalanx hordes or the Ensnare hordes. They're not going to care. The Krakens aren't going to care. Knuckers being speed 9 means that they win the charges against the Abyssals. It's annoying. It's dumb. The one Seductress isn't going to be able to hold it down by herself with the manifestation. I'm going to give it to Bart just because I know how hard it is to pick up a list like that with melee stuff. But Sean, your Flame Bearers, you get those guys in the right spot, and that might be the only time they'll ever be your MVPs. But it's Bart.
All right, Mike.
Bart, I wish you just contacted me about some list building for good old days' sake. Your list is awesome, but you don't have anything that does damage. Those Death Hordes just don't do anything. They're not strong enough. And then especially Sean's got Ensnare as well. Those Depth Hordes getting ensnared will screw them over in combat. He just doesn't. There's just not enough damage coming from that list. I kind of counter you, Kyle, in a sense that the Ensnare. Sean has mostly hit on 3s. If you forget, Molochs are melee 3 now, so they actually can do something for a change. Abyssal Horsemen are melee 3. The Succubi melee 3. So the Ensnare is not nearly as bad as against that melee 4 list. So going to my end all of how I've been choosing lists, which is speed. I don't really have an answer. I don't know how fast all this shit is. I guess it's probably
They're both speed.
Yeah,
6.
it's
pretty close.
Some fat speed, yeah.
All right,
You're probably averaged out.
I don't have a coin nearby, but I'll go Bart because he can kick my ass.
Yeah, if you're going with speed, Bart probably edges him out.
Probably kick my ass
Two
too,
Knuckers.
so.
I will say the map they're playing on is well spread out to find cover pretty much anywhere for either player. So that Ensnare, how you use it, is probably going to be more determinant than any of our opinions.
It's a tough matchup. Honestly, it is. I wish instead of those hordes of Depth Horrors, there was something with a little bit more punch in that list. But I'm going Bart. I love you, Bart. You know that. So it's all Bart.
Yep. This is a tough one for me to call as well, so I'm just going to vote for a club mate, which is Sean.
Yeah.
Also, Sean is a Wood Elf player at heart, and every army he plays, he tries to turn into Wood Elves, which is why there's Flame Bearers. So his instinct is going to be to stand back and shoot Bart to death and then charge him in like the last round, which I think is the right strategy in this match.
Respect.
So
Mike, he does know there's no actual models here, so he doesn't have to shoehorn elf archers into Flame Bearers, right?
Some muscle memory is just too hard to break.
All right, that's fine.
So moving on to table 5. Now we are finally out of the challenge matches and into the randomly paired matches. And I will say that I did do travel group restrictions for pairings in the first round by country for everybody outside the U.S. and by region for everyone inside the U.S. So hopefully people will get paired up with folks that live pretty far away from them. And our first one is going to be Luis Serra from Spain versus Richard LeKing from, I want to say, England.
Awesome.
Let's see if we have any interesting notes on these lists. Where's Luis?
I do love Luis.
Yeah.
I just love reading lists of people I've never heard of before. This is fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
So So let's go up to Lewis's Undead. Who's up on?
I
Mr.
am. I
Okay.
got that. So we're going to start this Undead with Jarvis. Great little special character for the Undead. 2 regiments of Soul Reaver infantry, 1 with Staying Stone. 3 troops of Revenant Cav, that thick chaff. 3 troops, 2 regiments on top of that. 1 regiment of Soul Reaver with the West Virginia Boots of Hiking.
Thank you.
The 2 regiments of Whites, 1 with Blade of Slashing, 1 of Mace of Crushing. A Ghoulgast, Wings of Honey Maze. Now, did that already drop his defense down to 4, or will now he be at a 3?
It'll be 3.
Okay. A Vampire Lord mounted on a horse, and a Necromancer, as you will take him, his favorite jewelry, an inspiring talisman.
Nice. And I think I may have miscounted here because those 2 white I think I decided that the white regiments did not count as thick chaff because they cost more than 150 points. If you consider white regiments thick chaff, then he has the most at 5 because the next highest has 4. So
looking at his list, those seem like they're going to they're going to switch between being chaff and also looks like they're going to be counter punch units.
Right, or like surge flankers kind of.
Yeah.
All right, next list. Back around to Kyle. This is Richard the King's Empire Dust. So 2 flavors
I've
of Undead.
never played Richard. I don't know Richard, so I'm gonna take it for what it is. Let's see, EOD Revenant Regiment, as they are. 2 regiments of Mummies, as they are. Desert Swarm Regiment. 2 enslaved Guardian Hordes. 1 with the California Hiking Boots. They got a promotion, and then 1 with the Potion of Caterpillar, which I guess is also hiking boots. So kudos to those guys. And that's the melee variant for those of you not listening all the way. 1 Monolith, which that's perfect. A Snoll Snare, a Snare Snoll. As a Snoll Snare, as it is. Look, I'll say that word how I want, Mike. I'm taller than you. 1 Pharaoh. 1 Cursed High Priest with Heal and Surge 8. And another one with Surge and Drain Life 7. Why not? And then a Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm. No items on that guy, so he's just going to be the melee 4-10 attacks, but Life Leech -19. That is a flying anvil, to quote my interview with Patrick Zoro Allen. And then the Idol of Such a Dick to round out the list. Only 19 unit strength and 13 drops, but it is 19 mostly hard to kill unit strength.
That is meaty.
It is meaty. Can you just do
All right.
thick list? Is that a thing? Thick list?
I can't. Yeah, you might get thickest boys there. Oh, what? So does Dino Lord approve then? Is that what you're saying?
Dino Lord does approve.
Dino Lord does approve. Very good. All right. So Mike, what do you think about this matchup?
So I don't know either of these gentlemen. Both pretty solid lists. They're very, very different lists. Tons of chaff on that Undead Army for Luis. I think maybe a little too much chaff. I really like the Ghoulgast. I think that's clever. The Vampire Lord, of course, is good. Necromancer, but you have a lot of points and a lot of things that are destined to die, which a lot of times can be good, but I don't know that relying on 2 regiments of Revenant Cav and 1 Soul Reaver Cav is doing all the damage in your list does the trick.
Well, he has those 2 infantry regiments too, of Soul Reaver.
They're going to be a bit slow getting into things. The Revenant Cav and the Soul Reavers are going to just outspeed him unless he's really reserved.
It's whereas that Empire Dust list is fantastic. I really, really like that list. And that Shobik, why did they make Shobik so cheap? I don't understand what it is.
Well, he's not as
he lost 1 crush and like 60 points cheaper. I don't get it, but anyways, I'm gonna go with the Empire Dust list with Richard the King for no reason other than lists because I don't know the gentleman at all.
Since we have a matchup between someone from the UK and someone from Spain, I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that I still am America's reigning champion and America's Paragon.
Yeah, we know.
And more than likely, I have met both these fellows. That's all I can tell you about them. But between these two lists, it's going to be hard to go against. I guess I've had bad luck with the Soul Snare. It just always seems to be something that wrecks the lists I like to play. And the Idol is just another one of those things that just wrecks my day. But I really like Louise's list, and the Spaniards definitely know how to play the game. They always seem to do well. I think I'm going to go with Louise on this one. I think Louise is going to get it. I like a lot of the speed he brings to the table. And you have two shambling lists, which it's hard enough playing against a shambling list or playing with a shambling list. And then you add on top of that, both of you are shambling. So there's going to just be so many angles to figure out with every move and every surge you want to do on what they can do and come back, that whoever can control and use their surge more effectively is going to come out on top here.
All right, Kyle.
I'm going to piggyback right on Tim with the surge. Jarvis has the Noble Dead, and so they're all good. That doesn't matter. But he's got that Book of Secrets, and he has Surge 8 on an individual. That dude being able to support from afar with Surge 8 gives Luis an edge in the Surge battle, if you want to call it that. But I think one of the secret edges is the Ghoulgast. That guy's got 21 to 23 inch threat range because you keep your wild charge plus your base 20. And it has 6 attacks. You can get in if you're able to set right, you can take out that Snow Snare starting turn 2, and even if you trade that guy for the Soul Snare, it's fine. And if you don't trade it and he's still alive, that's a thing you have to deal with. And I don't see a lot in Richard's list without just dedicated something to sit back there, and then you're winning because that unit's kept in the back and they're forcing chaff. Luis is also who I played in Call to Arms on one of my live streams. He is very good at this game, and he's very good with Undead. I'm going to give it to Luis, not only because he's a wonderful person, but I think his list has the edge in this matchup.
Cool. All right, so that's 2 for Luis and 1 for Richard. I think this might be one of my favorite matchups in the first round. I'm probably going to try to watch some of it. And I think I'm going to actually go with Richard just for fun. I'm probably wrong, but we'll see. All right, so next matchup. Oh, we can't respond to live comments? I can respond to live comments, I think.
I can't even see the live comments.
Oh, you can't?
Oh,
No, mobile doesn't support it.
I can't. Oh, mobile doesn't support it. Okay.
Get a computer.
I have one. It just the webcam sucks, and my face is worth it.
All right, so table 6 is going to be.
For the record, Mike, we cannot respond to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sometimes the commentators have trouble doing that. I don't know if it's you have to be logged into YouTube or what, but I can.
I guess I could just respond in person. Just be like, Sam, I'm sorry I didn't get to meet him. But that just seems really obnoxious.
You can. You want to do that.
The peanut gallery is not.
It's mostly made up of Larry anyways, so I'm just been ignoring it.
That's fair.
I will read his first comment and his last comment and none of them in between.
This is Sai versus Sam. And Sam actually gets our superlative for being the soul sucker.
Sam versus who?
Simon Brand. By bringing the most drained life of anyone at the tournament with a total of 18.
Damn. That's a lot.
And so let's go into the list.
And it's not on orcs or ogres.
So this is another UK versus Spain match. So who's up first reading list? I think
Mike.
Background to Mike. Yeah.
All right. I got some Ratkin for Simon. Simon Brand. I don't know Simon Brand. All right. Where's Simon Brand from? You said UK?
UK, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to catch up on the comments for everybody. Hi, everybody. I can't type to you, so I'll just interject and be annoying on live stream. All right, so we got Simon's Ratkin list. We have 3 regiments of shock troops. We got Plague Pot, Plague Pot, Plague Pot, one of which went up to halberds to get a little ensnare in there. We have a Hackpaw Regiment with Caterpillar. We have a Horde of Nightmares with Fire Oil, which might be good for matchups in this tournament. We got the little Regiment of Vermintide. We have a Regiment of Tunnel Runners with Brew of Sharpness. Do I not know enough about Tunnel Runners to know how a regiment has 24 attacks? Pardon me.
It's a chariot regiment.
Okay, sorry, I'm out of touch. We got a Mutant Raccoon. We have a Broodmother. I do know what that does. I like that little thing. We got a Swarmcrier. We have a Night Terror with Inspiring. Interesting. We have 2 Brute Enforcers. Those are thick chaff, if there is any such thing. And we have a Tangle. And then, oddly enough, the Ratkins have decided to team up with some Centaurs and a Unicorn. So we have Forces of Nature allies with a Centaur Brace Rider Regiment and a single Unicorn who is opting for the Lightning Bolt 5. So we got 16 units, 27 unit strength, which is pretty substantial. And that is Simon's list.
Yep. By drop, by unit strength, you kind of expect to see that. And then Tim with Sam.
Sam, he's playing Vanguard. Let's see, we've got 3 regiments of Drow, 2 regiments of Mounted Sons, one with the Hiking Boots, and one with the Potion of Caterpillar. Some Frostfang Cavalry Horde with Brew of Haste.
Nice.
3 regiments of Snow Foxes, 3 Jabberwocks.
Best unit in the game right there.
3 Magus, and 1 Lord on Frostfang.
Yep.
With the Mead of Madness and a Snow Fox. And it looks like he took 1 Magus with Inspiring Talisman and then Drain Life 6.
Yep, on all 3. That's where the Drain Life 18 comes from. All right. Kyle, what do you think of this matchup?
Well, I'm just going to open up with criticisms. Now, I think the matchup's going to be fun, but my favorite way to take Frostfangs is with Nimble. And there's the points there if you unbling out that Lord on Frostfang. I get it. You got to pimp your ride. But Nimble on Frostfang Cavalry is just disgusting. They're taller than everything. They're a unit remover, and you can get around chaff. There's nothing worse than having your Frostfangs stuck in front of chaff, just as an all-comers. But I like that list, right? You got your double-mounted sons who don't care about terrain, which on this map, that's important. We need to consider that. Snow Foxes are great. And honestly, you can hide one in the back with that stealthy and cover and score an objective that you know is there. It's a tool. And then triple Jabberwocks. I mean, who doesn't want to be a breakdance dance crew? They're a sick sort of interesting unit. I like it. Overall, I really like the list. I just kind of wish Frostfang had Nimble overall. Going into the Ratkin critique, I love MSU lists. That is my forte. Shock troop regiments don't do it for me. Reason 1, you lose rally 1, which is huge. Reason 2, shock troop hordes have a lot of nerve with plague pots. They're hard to remove for that turn. They're there. A regiment, man, that regiment can get poked off. I like the rest of the list all in. I think it's really cool. The tunnel runners with Brew of Sharpness are devastating. The heroes, the way they're going to run, are great. And then the Forces of Nature ally I actually really like. You get this one sort of fast Pathfinder unit, and then you gain Lightning Bolt 5 on a scoring. No, it's not scoring. It's Hero Cav, right? So it doesn't score, but it's an individual. Yeah, so it's Lightning Bolt 5, but you have this fast Lightning Bolt model that does have 3 attacks in melee 3 if you absolutely have to use it. But I think they're good allies for that MSU Racken list. So I do like that. I wish there was a horde somewhere. It's got a lot of drops, but none of it really has ass. So
Okay.
that's my thing. Between the two of them, I am going to give it to Sam. One, I've played Sam. He's really good. But nothing in the Ratkin list to me looks like it has a response to Mounted Sons and Frostfang. Sam has the chaff, even if it's literally just follow behind the expendable Druagar for 4 turns, the Drow, and start fighting on turns 5 and 6. There's nothing in the Ratkin list, I think, that can respond to the steamroller of Mounted Sons and Frostfang.
All right, Mike.
Yeah, so as we're going through the lists, I think Maguses on Vanguard are generally overpriced and not good. But in this matchup, I think that gives a huge edge to it. Because of the small units that are coming with the Rakin list, they're going to have a tough time punching through some of those Vanguard units. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the DRAUGR that you guys are both butchering. I'm sure none of us know how to pronounce properly. But it's just, they just don't have a way of getting through that those Vanguard units because there's so many piecemeal things, and especially with that Soul Drain, which normally I would be like, whatever, but that's going to be a big factor. And anybody that takes 3 Jabberwocks is somebody after my own heart, because that is like my favorite unit in the game right now. So I am going with the Vanguard list.
What's a Feeding Frenzy real quick before you move on, in case people don't know?
For every attack or every wound on the opponent, when you start the combat, you get that many more attacks. But which is decent and everything, but it's more than that. It's the defense 5, 15, 17, nimble, the height 5, I want to say, if I remember correctly. Like,
yep, height 5.
They have the speed 7, the Pathfinder. They have so many opportunities to just do sneaky things, and running 3 of them. Every Vanguard list I make, it's like, all right, 3 of those motherfuckers in there, and let's go. They're fantastic. Anybody that doesn't know about them, get on it.
Nice.
It's the best.
Yep.
So
I mean,
Sam.
It's just going to be a echo chamber here. I'm going to go with Sam. Normally, I think Vanguard in a list like this are not going to want to see a Ratkin list, but as Kyle had pointed out, there's just nothing here to stop those units from just steamrolling.
They one-shot like everything.
Yeah, and normally the Ratkin, that's okay, because you're just going to, the point is you just keep plinking wounds on them, and eventually you're going to wear those Vanguard units down. But then you have all this drain life that is not only healing your units back up, but putting wounds on the next round of units, or even picking up the next round of units that your Knights and your Jabberwocks are going to turn to face. So it's just, they're picking up a unit in combat, they're picking up a unit from shooting the spell. I think if they can get that steamroll going, there's nothing in this Ratkin list that's just going to slow them down. Unless he does a 3x9 conga line and just push Ratkin across the table and just keep him from getting all those units engaged somehow. But
the one Night Terror just can't handle all the threats he needs to get to with that speed 9.
Nothing can in this list. And I mean, you can go back to the mission. The Ratkin have the units.
They just
the unit strength.
So fast though.
But he's only got 16 drops compared to the Vanguard 16 drops. So
yeah, he's not even outnumbering even with the small unit. Something else too that Sam's making a point of in chat, which I hadn't even thought of, to be honest, is the Drain Life combo with the Jabberwock. Is you put a few wounds in there, and now your Jabberwocks are coming in with 10 attacks and punch.
Yep.
Like, Jabberwocks are just so good. And kudos to you, Sam, because that is smart. And I have to rethink my hating on Maguses.
yeah,
they're such expensive casters. They really are.
Yeah, they're expensive, but they just synergize well with the way this list is built. So those points are worth it.
Yeah, I really do love the Vanguard list. I think it's great.
Yeah,
for sure.
Drop your bling, get nimble. I'm happy.
Cool. So that is everybody voting for Sam. I'm actually going to disagree with the panel and go with Cy, because I lost him at CTA, so I know how he uses his list in objective-based scenarios. So there you go. Moving on to table 7, we have JJ Jones versus Joey Greeks. So this is a Mid-Atlantic versus Southeast matchup. Let me see if there's anything interesting about these lists. That is going to be all right. So Joey's list also ties. He's part of the 3 or 4 way tie for thickest boys for most thick chef. Let's go to JJ's list first.
I don't remember whose turn it was.
I think it's me.
Yeah, I think it's you.
I'll just go. I don't care.
Yeah, Tim
can wait. Tim can wait. It's fine. So JJ is the Warriors of the Shogunate. I feel like that's a Japanese reference, but since there's no models, none of it matters. The points are made up. Varangur, so he's got 2, we're just going to call them angry dwarves. He's got 2 dwarf zombies, the Duergar. The Glorious Fallen is his custom name. I'm not going to read these. It's too much work. So there's the Horde of Frostfang with my one of of a kind. Thank you, JJ. You listened to my TED Talk. And then another horde with Brew of Haste, which is now acceptable because one has Nimble. Can't shaft those boys. 3 regiments of Snow Foxes, sort of as you do. Double Jabberwock. It's not quite 3, but maybe he likes to have friends. 2 Magus, 1 with the Boomstick and Drain Life 6. So that's an interest. I mean, I know it comes with it, but Lightning Bolt 4, Drain Life 6. Or I'm sorry, not Lightning Bolt 4. Lightning Bolt plus the Boomstick. So that's Lightning Bolt 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive at 175 points on a horse, but that's Lightning Bolt 7, Drain Life 6. And then he has another one with Conjurer's Staff on a horse. So Lightning Bolt 4, Drain Life 6, rerolling a fail. He has a Lord on Frostfang with a Snow Fox, and another Lord on Frostfang with a Snow Fox. And then a little more reasonable in the allies here, JJ took 2 Fiends, which I almost feel is, I know it was random, but it's really just a stab at Joey for not playing #CreepyArmy. He has 15 drops and 21 unit strength.
Yep. And this is the second list that has Night Stalker allies. So we've already seen 3 of the 4 lists that have allies, and both of them that have Night Stalkers. Let's move on to Joey's list. And Mike, you're up.
Joey, I miss you, bro. Hope you're well. So we got some undead for Joey. And I believe, is he using his creepy crawly army for undead in real life nowadays? I feel like he is. That's my favorite.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
All right, so Joey's rocking 2 regiments of Soul Reaver Cav. They lost their defense 6, but they're still a fantastic unit. 1 with Elite, 1 with Caterpillar. We have 2 hordes of Zombie Trolls, because Zombie Trolls are the best unit in the game. 1 with some ridiculous guy's boots, and then another one with Sanguinary Scripture, with that extra life leech. We have 4 regiments of Whites. So did you count those for thick boys, by the way, Mike, you said?
I think I may have counted them not for Luis, but for Joey for some reason.
Because you know how Joe uses them, which is exactly that.
You heard it here first. Mike's biased towards Spaniards.
Apparently.
Racist. So we got 4 regiments of Whites. Those things are annoying as hell. We got a Goreblight, which I've learned from Mike Atkins is a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
We have a Lich King with Levitation. Interesting. The Drain Life 7. I do like that.
Baby Goth.
Baby Goth. That dude's flying. We got a Necro with Inspiring Talisman, Aura for the Vicious for the Zombie Trolls, and Goreblight. He's mounted with a Bane Chant. And then we have yay old faithful Morgoth that faces. 12 drops.
So interestingly enough, it says right there that this upgrade cannot be taken in addition to an undead horse mount. So that's not on a horse. That's the aura only.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just saw undead horse mount. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's part of the aura description. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. It's not mounted. Everybody,
Yeah.
chill out. It's not mounted.
It's not mounted.
Comments are going to come after you, Mike.
Oh my god.
They've already started.
And then we'll come. Okay, so those are the lists. Tim, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to stick with my voting criteria. I'm going to give this one to JJ. Southeast is going to pull it out. However, Joey's list is really good. I like the way he plays his list. He always plays some weird stuff, and he just does weird stuff with it. So I'm sure he's going to do some weird stuff, and he's going to win a lot of games with it. But JJ has surprisingly been doing quite well with the Universal Battle games, from what I understand. And I think that's going to be a difference maker. Maybe we haven't touched on much here to start with, is you don't get so much of that cross the table, play going on because you're at home in your underwear drinking your beer by yourself. So I'm going to give it to JJ. I like his list. The Varangur are bringing it this edition. I might have to start one of these lists because I kind of like these Jabberwocks and Frostfangs.
Okay, Kyle.
Well, first off, Tim will never retire his trolls.
Never.
So let's just put that out in the open. I like both of these lists. I think that is a really strong Varangur list. It has it has like objective secure, it has hammers, and it has a hammer that can remove itself from being chaffed. It has chaff, it has support, it has jabbers. I like it. And the Night Stalker regiments, they can go off and do their own thing, right? Mind Thirster is great. Mind Thirst is great. That's why it exists. That being said, Joey has this damn golden sweater that technically should have been mine, but the rest of my team let me down in our regional challenge a while back. And since then, we've been friends. I met him in Charleston a while ago. He is a good player. And I like this undead list, right? Zombie trolls are probably a little broken. Facts. Soul Reaver Cavalry with Blessing of the Gods and Potion of the Caterpillar, they do exactly what they're going to do. He's going to use those white regiments probably as chaff for them and just take their time and go in and fight on the objectives. And I actually like, now that Morgoth has been nerfed back to reason, I like the Lich King with Levitation more because he's fearless. Surge 10, Drain 7. It's a, you know, it's not the same. He doesn't have Bane Chant and all the regen and stuff, but he's fearless. So it's a strong double caster to have. And then, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, just fuck Gorblights. I'm actually going to give it to Joey. Joey has given me more than enough hard games, and I think this is a list that does have the tools to handle JJ. So I'm giving it to Gorblight.
Right.
Exclusively the Gorblight.
Exclusively to the Gorblight.
Yep.
Okay, Mike.
Wait, what was this nerf about Morgoth?
Oh, he used to be speed 10 and drain life 9, and now he's speed 7 and drain life 7.
Oh yeah, that thing that you used against me countless times that annoyed the shit out of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are like, that doesn't seem like a significant nerf, but the big deal with that is now that he's speed 7, dudes on horses can catch him.
Yeah,
He can be caught at last.
Yeah, any dude on a horse with a mournful blade can catch and kill him now. So
you remember my little abbess on Panther that was catching him that last game we played, Mike? Charging over walls and still wounding you.
Yeah, still can't get him.
So annoying. All right, so double Jabberwock. If you had 3 Jabberwocks, I'd choose your list, JJ. So, goes to Joey. That's it. No, it's Joey's list is powerful. Joey knows how to play the fucking game. I don't know JJ that well. I'm sure he's great, but I gotta go with Joey. It's my boy.
All right, that's fair. I think I'm also going to go with Joey because this looks exactly like an undead list I would write. So you're in my brain, Joey. You're in my brain.
JJ, the pressure's on. You're going to be the
on.
difference maker if I win this award or not.
That's right.
Get on.
Yeah, you think you're going to win this award, Tim? Mike's going to win it. He's the damn host.
I don't count.
What?
I'm just.
That's a rigged election.
No, dude. If I wanted one of these things, I would just print one and then wear it like Flava Flav wearing a massive fucking clock, whatever.
He acts
so
like that's not exactly what he's done.
Like, dude, I have a wall. Which of these shall I wear today? What color do I feel? So Mike Austin has read off. That's fine. He'll be back in a minute. So next we have. I'm using the names that people signed up on Tabletop TO with. So I know that's not his full name. Oh, there you go. He's trying to get his from last year. So Zach Chapp versus Larry Essick. Let's see if there's anything fun about these lists. Zach Chapp, Essick. Nope, no superlatives there. All right, so just on to the lists. Zach's list first. Where were we on last? I think we're up to Tim. Is that right?
We're up to Tim.
Oh crap! I wasn't paying attention. Sorry. What am I doing?
You're reading this list.
Whose list?
You're winning Paragon.
Zach's.
Which list?
Zach.
Zach
Chapp.
Zach Chamberlain. Yep. All right. So we got some salamanders, Gecko Tile Warriors, 3 regiments, 3 regiments of Corsairs, 2 hordes of Rhinosaur Cavalry, 1 with the Caterpillar, 1 with Wine of Elven Kind, 3 Lachilodons, 1 Clan Lord, Trickster's Wand, Effigy of Fire, mounted on a Raptor, 2 Battle Captains on Rhinosaurs, 1 with the Inspiring Talisman and 1 with some Boots of Stradon, and a Firebrand.
All right.
Interesting.
There we go. And then Larry's Ogres. So that's around to Kyle.
So Larry Essex Ogres. 4 troops of Red Goblin Scouts. They go quick, they die quick. That's all there is to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 troops of hunters. Or not troops, sorry, hordes of hunters. Hunters are stupid. They did not need speed 7 in Snare Pathfinder. Yeah, they're defense 4, whatever. They're speed 7. Anyways, Siegebreaker Horde with Potion of the Caterpillar. Because, why not just take 6 hunters? And then triple Red Goblin Blasters, because they're 65 points. And they go boom. An Army Standard Bearer, which is just a unit strength that hides in the back. And then Grakaga Kill 'em All in all his glory. And that is a 15 drop, 27 unit strength ogre list.
Nice. Mike, what do you think?
I don't even know how to respond to this. Hunters. Hunters win. That's all I got.
Hunters win
All right.
games.
Larry. I'm going to go Larry.
So we go with Larry. Okay. Tim.
Is Zach from the UK?
I think so. Let me verify that real quick.
Might be stereotyping,
Actually,
but chapter
no, I think
lane.
he's actually. I've
Seems
got
like
him
a
down
UK.
as being from the Northeast. I might be wrong, but I think he's from the Northeast.
Well, damn it! I was hoping to have an easy way not to vote for Larry.
I mean, you can. It's both.
Now I gotta. I wasn't even paying. You read Larry's first unit, and then I only listened to the last unit. So let me look at what he's got in the middle.
Yeah, I
It's
got
Hunters.
All
it's
the hunters.
All the hunters. Oh, damn it! All right, I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Larry. Not because he's from the Southeast, mind you, but because he actually brought a list. It seems like he's going to try to win with.
All right, Kyle.
My opinion on Hunters has been well documented many, many a time. They're bullshit. In real talk, so you have these Pathfinder and Snare stuff. The map we're playing on is going to favor the smaller horde footprint of the ogres. I mean, he didn't bring any hordes. Zach didn't, anyways, of like big infantry, but the Rhinosaur cavalry, one has Caterpillar, the other one doesn't. If you can get those hunters, even with Ensnare, right, it's now 18 attacks on 4. If you get the one with Wind of Elvenkind that's forced to take a front charge, because you can just make a line with those ogres now. They're not getting one shot. There is some poke in here, but there's just like not enough poke to handle the ogres, because if you're shooting, he's just going to charge you with that chaff. Zach has lines of play because ogres are only defense 4, but I unfortunately will have to agree with my cohorts, and I think Larry's list is just going to walk up, punch Zach in the face, and then win the mission by sitting in terrain and saying, "You can't kill me." So it's Larry.
Just not enough job putting that down there.
Yeah, I feel like the maps are doing a good job at, hindering War Machine overpowerment or shooting overpowerment and giving armies just a better, more even playing field. But I feel like those maps do present an opportunity for lists like Larry's to do better than they might have normally had on older maps.
Could be true.
Oh.
Yep.
His list is going to be harder to shoot off, and that mitigates some of that defense 4.
Yep.
Yeah. Might give ogres a little bit of a bump, but ogres are also tall, so there are fewer places for them to hide as well. So it's hard to say. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
That's not to say later on Zach's list isn't good, because he's got a lot of units he can move around for objective play. He's got good hit. He's got good shooting. I mean, he's got all the pieces to have a really effective list in tournament play and objective play. It's just in this matchup, we all agree Larry's list is just got a lot more advantage going into this game.
Yep.
The only caveat, I think I say caveat a lot, and I don't need to. The Corsairs and Firebrand, they will mess up ogres. But I feel like if he's shooting the Corsairs at the ogres, they're in cover, or he knows he's getting charged within one turn. Like 1 or 2 turns, that charge is coming. And you can't shoot all that nerve away. So.
Nope.
So I think I'm going to agree with you guys. I think you've talked me into it. I think I'm going to go with Larry. I
wouldn't listen to us. We don't know what we're doing.
Larry's going to lose now just to spite me.
He's going to be like, "Screw you, Tim."
That's fine.
Take a dive.
So far, so this is eight matches in, and we've got 4 matches where all the panelists agreed, and 4 where we have a minority vote. So that's pretty good. Only about half the time you guys all agree with each other. Cool. So moving on now to table 9, we'll have Ezekiel from Argentina. I apologize in advance to all the Spanish speakers. I'm sure I'm going to just absolutely murder your names and sound like a horrible white guy trying to pronounce them. So I apologize in advance. Ezekiel from Argentina versus Dan Zaremski who I believe is from the Midwest, an Illinois guy, I think, right? I think
We'll just have Mike Austin pronounce all their names. He did so good with Shannon's list.
could be.
Yeah.
So,
First half.
Executive arc.
thank you.
He said peyote really well, which was surprising.
So Ezekiel actually gets the superlative, I believe, for having the highest unit strength army with Kingdoms of Men army with a total of 30, which is a lot. And that's the only superlative for this one. So let's go into the list. So here's Ezekiel's list. And who were we on? Did Kyle's go?
Probably. I don't know. You're in charge of this stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
here
wanna
for my
keep
wit.
track of so many things.
No, it's me because I didn't read a list last time.
Okay, yep, then it's you.
All right. So Kingdoms of Men, we got a polearm block, a regiment, and a horde. 3 militia mob regiments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fanatic regiments, and they all have items, which at glance seems a bit weird to me. But let's see. We got Boots of Striding, Potion of Caterpillar, Fire Oil, Blessing of the Gods, and Blood of the Old King. 1 siege artillery, doesn't seem like enough. 3 cannon, seems like too much. 2 generals on winged beasts. 1 wizard. Oh, I guess I got to do items. Sorry. The 1 general has Chalice of Wrath. The other Dwarven Ale. The wizard has the Conjurer's Staff, Bane Chant, and is taking a Lightning Bolt 3. And then, as you do, the captain.
Now over to Dan's list, and that's Kyle. You're up with another.
That's
South
me.
list.
More Sallies. All right. This is weird. I never thought I'd be reading salamander lists left and right. 2 troops of ancients.
Nice.
Dash 13. Yeah, defense 6. And those guys inspire. Why not?
So good.
Super thick
Salamander, yeah, super thick chaff. I don't even know if they're chaff at that. It's just thick.
You're so tough.
Salamander Ceremonial Guard, Horde with Aegis of the Elohai, that Iron Resolve coming in sexy. Phalanx Horde. 2 Tyrants, 1 with the West Virginia Flip-Flops, and the other one with the Potion of the Caterpillar. Rhinosaur Cavalry Horde, because you don't play Salamanders without Rhinosaurs. They're so good. Triple Ember Sprite. Nice little chaff there. A Phoenix, which we haven't seen yet. I like how it has keyword majestic, by the way. I thought I'd point that out.
So majestic.
He has a Battle Captain with Blade of Slashing on a Raptor. A Battle Captain on Rhinosaur with the Inspiring Talisman. It's weird that he needs it, but I get it. Clan Lord on Fire Drake with Brew of Sharpness, as you do. 15 attacks on 3s with, it's annoying. And that's the list. 21 unit strength, only 13 drops, though.
Yep. All right, Mike. What do you think of this matchup?
I'm so intrigued by those. What are those berserker units?
Those fanatics.
Fanatics. Thank you. I don't know that the item. I mean, I do get it to some sense because 15 attacks on 3s is one of those surprise kind of things, but they're still defense 3. They have no defense. They seem to be the primary damage dealer in
And they're speed 5.
Yeah, they just don't do it for me. I mean, we got, I'm not gonna do the math, but probably 150, 160 times 5. We got 800 points tied up in these units. Just don't cut it for me. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe he knows what he's doing way better than I do because he's probably played more games than I have in 3rd edition. So I admit it. But I have to give it to that Dan's list. I do like that Salamander list has all the little points that you need. I like the Phoenix with him too. He's really going in on the defensive traits of with the Iron Resolve and with the Ancients. So I'm going to go with Dan.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I just don't see it with Ezekiel's list. I guess my problem is you take artillery in numbers like that because you want to force your opponents to come to you. You want to punish them if they decide to sit back. But what is he forcing them into? If he had some polearm blocks or some spear phalanx hordes, that those units would have to move into, and then those fanatics could come around the sides and take advantage of 15 attacks hitting on 3s. Okay, now we're talking. But with everything just being regiments and everything being speed 5, the salamanders are going to come over anyways. They're going to outspeed you. They're going to charge the things they want to charge. I just don't see it. Ezekiel's list, he's got some moxie for taking all those humans. And maybe he plays the pants off of it. But just looking at what we got here, I'm going to have to go with Dan's list. I think he's going to pick and choose what he wants to fight.
All right, Kyle, are you going to pick the closest thing we have to a goblin list?
Well, I really want to say Dino Lord approve, but I don't. I agree with the boys. So looking at the fanatics, he has 70 points, give or take, in magic items on these regiments. Dash 15 is great, but I mean, for 70 points, that's a whole nother drop, or we could be looking at converting some of those regiments into a horde or something. It's MSU, but it misses one of the elements that I love about MSU. It doesn't have, like what Mike was talking about, Tim, there's nothing forcing you to come to me except the cannons, and I don't have anything to counter you. You didn't bring any of like the cavalry that Kings of Men have or the hordes. I mean, you throw like a fanatic horde in there with a crushing strength, and you throw in a spear block, you lose a couple drops, granted, but all of a sudden you have threats that have to be answered, and I just don't think the Kings of Men have it. And with the way that list is built, I mean, Ember Sprite regiments with 7 attacks on 4s and Vicious can do some serious work on that Kings of Men list, and you don't want to be using your cannon on that. So I really actually think Dan has a pretty strong advantage in this match. And
I guess its strength is that it's 30 unit strength,
but it's soft.
It's
unit strength.
Problem. Is it, you know, if in the Ratkin list, you can do similar builds where you just crush people with just numbers, just weight of numbers, but they have better support than what this is putting with it. Yeah. So
well, and one thing people miss: militia mobs are 11-14 nerf, not 12-14 like goblins are, and they're also defense 3, not defense 4. So they're really low in the durability category. Because even a rabble regiment for 5 more points lasts twice as long as a militia mob.
Yeah, it's just I just don't see it. You know, you have so much unit strength, but any of the lists we've seen up to this point, once they get to combat, and even the shooting lists, if they get their good angles, you know, you're losing 4 to 6 unit strength a turn to either shooting or combat. That's the one strength that the list has, and it just gets eaten away so quickly.
Now, the Berserkers do have Wild Charge D3, so they have an 11 to 13 inch range, which means, you know, if the Clan Lord wants to breathe on them, or the Ember Sprites want to breathe on them, all right, they have a chance to be charged. But if you charge an Ember Sprite regiment, the Rhinosaurs or the Tyrants will just demolish you. So my vote is for Dan. It's a great Salamander list. I think that Kings of Men list has potential. MSU is always gross. I love it, but I think it's missing something, at least in this matchup.
Now, I know Ezekiel's on the chat here, and I don't want him to be deterred by us because he could very well have something that.
I mean, those generals on Winged Beast don't suck.
No,
the captain is great. Like there is stuff here. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's the stuff that's going to beat the Salamander list that's here.
Yeah, he's going to beat some people for sure. There's going to be like those units are going to do some real work against certain armies. I just don't think this Salamander.
I mean, there is a point at which on these casts, Chris James out of Florida is a great example where everybody in the whole world thinks your list is absolute garbage, but for some reason that absolute garbage
pick everybody apart.
Yeah, you're the one guy that plays that absolute garbage the way it should be played, and you just beat the pants off of everybody. And maybe that's Ezekiel, and maybe that's why he's bringing this out. But
it just sounds like you're talking about me, Tim.
And actually, I think I'm
you beat pants off in another way, Kyle.
No offense to the panel, and no offense to Dan, but I think I'm going to actually vote for Ezekiel this one because I think he has a plan. I think he knows how to checkerboard all those regiments and support them with artillery. I think he's going to be onto something. So I'm going to vote that way, just to be contrary.
That's
bastard.
And we'll go on to table 10. This is going to be Ray Wyant from the Mid Atlantic against Juan Sebastian Ramos, who's our other Argentinian player. Let me see. I feel like one of these guys has something. fun or noteworthy about their list. So Ray Wyant actually did get a superlative. He got the Ruthless Efficiency Award for having the highest unit strength per drop average of any list in the tournament, very narrowly beating out another list that I'll point out when we get to it by just a tiny, tiny margin, but he did edge out that one. So congratulations, Ray, on some super efficient list building. And now let's go to the list. So here's Juan's. And who went last? Kyle went last?
Yeah, Mike's up.
So Mike's up.
All
With some
right.
Lady Bros.
I love this list so much.
Oh, God, I do too.
At first, I was like, this shit sucks. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, that's an awesome list. I love it so much. All right. So we got Juan's Brotherhood, Order of the Green Lady. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 regiments of Order of the Brotherhood and 1 horde of Order of the Brotherhood. 4 regiments. Actually, all of them have Vial of Sacred Water. Then we have Elite on 1 regiment. And we have Brew of Strength on the horde, because why not just go ahead and do that? So that's 4 regiments, 1 horde of knights. We also have 3 more regiments of cavalry, Order of the Redemption. These guys are so nasty. They have 1 with Caterpillar, 1 with the Sister Banging Boots of Striding, 1 with the Mace of Crushing. And then we go down and have a Devoted with the Shroud of the Saint, with the Radiance of Life, and comes with heal base, so it goes up to heal 6 along with the Radiance of Life. So you're now healing all those cav units. Super annoying. And you have a Druid that's got Bane Chant, because you need it in that list, obviously. So you only have 10 neat drops. You have 25 unit strength. For those unaware, you have 7 regiments, I believe it was, and 1 horde of cavalry. Think about deploying against that. Good luck. Have fun.
Oh, shit. I think I missed one. He actually... Okay, right, because this is the highest. This is the lowest drop army.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I didn't make a superlative. I made highest drops.
But a good amount of unit strength.
A good amount of unit strength. Yeah.
Those cav being US3 matters.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Tim.
All right, we got Ray's Undead. Looks like a lot of zombies. Let's start with 1 regiment and 2 legions of zombies. A horde of revenant with giant rats. 2 wraith troops. Zombie troll horde with brew of sharpness. Horde of whites. No item. A Gorblight. Lich King, Blizzard 3, Necromancer with his jewelry, the Inspiring Talisman, the Vicious Aura for zombies, and Bane Chant. He then took some allies. So is this the last person with allies?
Yes.
Looks a regiment of Morax and a Crudger on Winged Slasher.
All right. So, Kyle, what do you think of this matchup?
I'm going to start with Ray. Also, is Ray the guy? Is it the Ray that took the 30 zombie regiments to best of the rest?
Yep.
He owns, for those of you who don't know, he has 30 full model count zombie regiments.
Yep. And he realized those regiments are much better just put together into legions.
That's correct. So I'm going to start with Ray. I don't like taking orc allies, because you bring those orcs because they're can openers, right? They're unit removers, but you have soul reavers and you have
I was wondering that too.
Flying heroes. That's just me. I mean, the Morax do not suck. They're great, but you could just honestly have taken like a vampire on a Pegasus and a soul reaver and done some math somewhere. But that's just me. As far as the list for the undead, I like it, right? He's got that synergy. He's got a horde of zombie trolls. He's got 2 legions in a regiment. Usually I think 2 legions is a little too much, but he's a zombie player, a horde of revenants. It's gonna stick around. It's got some tools. The Gorblight is not gonna. I hate Gorblights. They're so good. He took Blizzard on the Lich King, which is not something I think I've ever seen an undead player take. I don't hate it. It's just not Soul Drain. But when you got zombies, right? I guess you don't want to heal them. I like the list. It's different. It is not the list you want to bring against one. that list of Rays is sort of just saying, hey, you can go ahead and one-shot whatever you want, and you're faster than me. And it's sort of unfortunate. Wraiths are speed 7, that's his chaff. The only thing he has that's faster is the Crudger on Wing Slasher. So Juan's going to control every charge. He's got a Horde with Pathfinder that's going to one-shot. Maybe it takes 2 turns to get through a Legion on bad dice. It's going to heal through everything. Unfortunately, as cool as I think Ray's list is, Juan brought a list that is going to house it. And that's just the nature of speed 8, good melee, high defense with heal. So I'm giving it to Juan. Table be damned. It's going to be Juan's game on this one.
All right.
I like playing that devil's advocate a lot. I'm not doing it here. I love Ray. I don't know Juan, but he's onto something with that army. When your chaff is a fucking regiment of cav that decimates most things, it's have chaff otherwise. I think Ray's list is solid. It's good. It's a well-rounded list. It's going to do well in the tournament. But just putting that army down, Ray's army down, and facing off against 7 regiments and a horde with Bane Chant and heal, I'm sorry, what do you do? How do you get through that? It just doesn't have the punch to do it. It's a bad matchup. The zombies they're cute. They're just not doing anything. When you have heal against an army like that, it destroys the battle plan. So I'm going with our out of towner, Juan Sebastian Ramos.
Yeah, is our other Argentinian player. Yeah. So Tim, what do you think?
I'm missing something. I like Sebastian's list, all the cavalry, and initially I think that's what I was going to go for, but coming back around to the maps in the scenario, parking those legions of each legion in a forest or in a piece of terrain, getting the hinder charges on these cavalry coming into you, they're going to absorb even 2 regiments of Cal. He's going to have to devote 3 regiments of cavalry to pick up a legion of zombies in a forest. Because they don't come with Pathfinder or anything native.
The Horde has Pathfinder, and then the Redemption has one with Pathfinder and one with J-Boots.
Okay.
So he does have some tools for that. But that Horde with Pathfinder can't be underestimated.
The banner, right. Okay, so he does. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so he does have some things that can go into the cover. More importantly here, can I take half of Sebastian's list and half of Ezekiel's list and switch them and get 2 overall better lists? I feel like if they were playing together 2v2, their 2 armies are complement each other so well.
Facts.
But I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna go with Ray. I feel like Sebastian does have those 3 units that can go in terrain, get across the board. However, not all of them do, so his battle line's gonna get split up. He's not gonna be able to get all those combo charges he's gonna want to pop these units, and the surge is just gonna let those race. You can, instead of using them as chaff this game, work them as flankers, and they're gonna do some work on some knights in the flank or the rear with surge. So I'm gonna go with Ray. Although I don't like the orc allies. Why are you even bothering? Undead have units that do exactly what those units do, so just take those units. Especially in a game where it's virtual. It's not about using cool models.
All right. So that is another one where we have 1 dissenting vote. And
it's always Tim just walking off on his own.
Yeah, man.
Also, anyone who can pilot 30 zombie regiments gets a kudos. I don't care.
I think I'm going to go with Ray just because undead solidarity. That's all.
He's got a gore blight. You're like, I got it.
He's got a gore blight. He's on my team.
More bias evident in the TO, guys.
Obvious bias here. All right, moving on to table 11. So we are now in the bottom half of the tables here. So this is going to be Jen Stuther from the UK versus Ray Shields from Canada.
Okay.
Let's see if we've got anything noteworthy about these lists. Oh, yeah,
He's
here we
not
go.
taking rats.
He's not taking rats.
Jan's
so-
playing who?
He's
he's
playing against
playing-
Ray Shields.
Ray
So,
Shields.
Jan gets the Ride the Lightning award for having the most lightning bolt in the tournaments. And
I start with Jan.
start with Jan's Night Stalker.
All right, so we've got and this is one of the positive to a virtual tournament like this is you do get players from all around the world, and you get a lot more participation from a wider pool of players. The downside is you don't actually get to play games with someone like Jan. Met her at Clash of Kings in the UK, friends on Facebook. Super hilarious person, fun to hang out with and play games with. So that is a downside to this, that you don't get to spend any time with those players and actually get to know them personally. But on with her list. A Legion of Scarecrows with the Hammer of Measured Force.
Love it.
2 regiments of Doppelgangers. 2 Reaper troops. A troop of Shadowhounds. A horde of Butchers with Boots of Striding, and a horde with Caterpillar. 3 Mind Screeches. 1 Void Lurker with Brew of Haste. 2 Horrors, 1 with Boomstick, and both with the Aura of Vicious.
Yep. And now back over to Kyle for Ray's list.
So Ray's not taking rats. I'm sad. But Trident Realms it is. Naiad and Snare Horde with Brew of Strength. I love to run them like that. It's deceptively hard to shift. They punch really hard back. The other option is Hammer of Measured Force, but is what it is. River Guard troops. He took 1, 2, 3, 4 River Guard Tree Leapers. Those are like the speed 7 flyers with Nimble. They're
frogs.
cool.
And Ensnare.
And Ensnare and Pathfinder and CS1 for 110 points. He's got 2 regiments of Naiad Heart Piercers. Don't see those come out too often. A horde of Naiad Worm Riders rocking Nimble. That is not a cheap toy to take. A horde of River Guard Dam Busters with Brew of Haste, so speed 8 flying horde with regen and all sorts of fancy rules. 2 Knuckers, because why would you not take Knuckers? A Naiad Worm Rider Centurion with Blade of Slashing, and a Naiad Envoy with Bane Chant and Bastion, and then Ector with the Kraken Maw, Mighty and Phalanx. And Windblast 8 just for fun. That does matter on this mission. Windblast 8 is a lot.
Yeah.
He is 21 unit strength and 14 drops. So pretty elite for a Trident Realms list.
Yep. All right. Mike, what do you think of this matchup?
Those 4 troops that Ray has could be the game. As a Night Stalker player myself, a little dabble in them. Your melee's on 4s, and Jan's unit of hitting on 5s. You hit Ensnare and you basically do nothing, and that's massive. You have a troop that can stand up 2 rounds against anything. That's a very problematic situation. Plus the Naiad Ensnarers who have the Ensnare. You even have the character there, the Ector, which I know you don't want to throw into there, but you have a character that can sit and bounce in a unit for 2 or 3 turns. Is pretty massive. Of course, Ray Shields is obviously teammate, friend, and all that stuff. But I'm picking him anyways, as non-biased and biased reasons.
All right. Tim.
I feel like this is not the list Jan's Lightning Bolt wanted to see, because while she has a lot of it, the things she's going to want to Lightning Bolt the most are going to be hard. Ray's going to play them well to keep them from getting hit, like the Knuckers, the Dam Busters. So, you're left at shooting at the Tree Leapers and Ensnarers or the Naiads. And like Mike had said, there's just, once you get to punching each other, these Night Stalkers are going to have a tough time going against Ensnare. And Ray can feed the doppelgangers like tree leapers. Okay, I'm going to negate your best ability with a little crappy unit. So I'm going to go with Ray. And this army, this matchup now makes me think, like, how's the time difference going to make for this event? Aren't the UK and Spanish going to be? Could they possibly be playing like in the middle of the night?
No, I think the first round for them starts at like 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon.
Okay. All
So
right.
the last game should finish by 11 or something like that.
Okay. So not too late, but definitely later than
Not too late.
normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Ray.
Okay, Kyle.
My gut, right off the bat, looking at the list before the cast, and then knowing that they're paired now, was that it goes to Jan. That was my gut, right? That's a lot of lightning bolt. It's a lot of low defense stuff, low nerve. But then, you look at it as a matchup and you go, all right, well, hang on. One, the map we're playing on is pretty dense. It's a mission where you don't have to sit on the token the whole game, so you can hide and cover and then go score it on turn 5 or turn 6. The only things that lightning bolt really wants to go into are, like they said, Knuckers, Heroes, and those 4 troops of River Guard. Because if you're shooting the Heart Piercers and you don't get them, Regen 4 is not what lightning bolt wants to see. It's an expensive skill to throw out 10 or 12 wounds and have half of those fall off, and then they're charging you next turn. So I really like Jan's lightning bolt spam. The Reaper troops are awesome. The doppelgangers are cool. But Butchers hitting on 5s, really the Reaper troops are the only unit removers you have, and they get outranged by Ray's stuff. It's just sort of how it works. And if you're using lightning bolt on something with regen, you're crying internally. So
Yeah.
my gut was to give it to Jan, but looking at the map, looking at the mission, and just how much regen on 4-up Ray brings with Ensnare, I do think it's going to go to Ray.
I actually really like Jan's list. I think that's like a super well-rounded Night Stalker list. It's just a bad matchup. It's that simple.
But it's lightning bolt spam that still has a lot of unit strength. Like, it's not getting it from just taking a bunch of wizards. It's all scoring stuff. It all moves. But Ray brought the bane of lightning bolt, which is regen 4+ on decent nerf.
Jan's list is not a spam. Like, yeah, there's a lot of lightning bolt, but it's not all in on lightning bolt. Like, that's not the only thing doing the work. It's just a bad matchup with the ensnare and the regen is tough. Everything that lightning bolt would do to prepare for the combat, to have those. It's a great list. It's just like you're dealing with regen and solid units that just don't care.
That Aura Vicious is going to help. It's going to be cool, but that ensnare just hurts. But yeah, like lightning bolt, you should soften everything up, and then there's the fights. But in this case, I worry you're not going to get the fights. Ray gets to pick with all that speed.
Yep. All right, so that is everybody going for Ray, and I think I have to vote for Ray as well because, once again, total bias. I have to vote for a clubmate. Yeah. So there you go.
What a TO.
What a TO. He thinks all his friends are going to win in the first round. That's amazing.
That's how his scoring system's set up too. No one notices that year to year.
You get 1 point for knowing Mike.
Yep.
Right. One bonus point for being in the same club.
Alex
Every
gets
game.
-1 though.
All right, so coming up table 12, we have Corey Walser versus Coke. He just signed up as Coke. That's his nickname. I think he's Coke Garcia on Facebook. Let's see if we got anything fun about these. Corey.
Which list is Coke?
I think it. Hold on, I'll bring it up here in a second. Coke, I think, also ties for Thickest Boys.
Oh god, this list.
So yeah, it's in there as Jorge Cuerva.
Yeah, Trident Realm.
Yep, it's the Death Power list. Where are we up to?
There it is. I went last, so that would be.
That's me. So
Mike.
I will go
No,
with
that's Mike.
Corey's. Oh, it's Mike.
That's
It's
Mike.
mine. So Michael read Cokes and you read
All
Corey's.
right. So this is Bart Kohler's 1.5 list right here, apparently. All right, we got 2 title swarms, little Jaffies. And Bart, you amateur, should have done it like this boy here. We got 4 regiments of Death Horrors. We have 4 hordes of Death Horrors. Man, people love these Death Horrors. The hordes, one has strength, one has Caterpillar, one has Sharpness, and one is El Naked. We have 3 Knuckers, which is, I think, the right way to do it. I do support that. Back to the Depth Horror Loving. We got 3 Depth Horror Eternals. I'll make it as well. And we have a single Naiad Envoy with the Bane Chant, Loot of Insatiable Darkness. 17 units, but really just like 2 units in terms of variety. But there's still 28 unit strength on the board, which is something to think about.
Yep. All right. And over to Corey's Abyssals.
All right. So we have a horde of lower abyssals. They are taking the 2-handed weapons for crushing. A regiment of succubi, and they are upgraded to lurkers, so they have Pathfinder. Horde of abyssal ghouls, 2 troops of gargoyles, 1 regiment of flamebearers, 2 hordes of Molochs, an abyssal horseman regiment with Brew of Haste, abyssal champion with Lightning Bolt 5, Sigdutress with Bane Chant 2, abyssal warlock Bane Chant 2, and Manifestation of Baal to round out the list.
You forgot the items on the Molochs, by the way.
Oh, did I? I'm just going. I don't care about items. Why? Who gave them items? Oh, that's because it's the boots of striding and meat of madness. No one cares about those.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yep.
All right, Kyle, what do you think?
All right. Well, if you're going to do Trident Realms like this is the way to do it. You just all in on that concept. I'm just going to be Fearless Ensnare with Crushing Strength, and I'm going to, it is what it is. Triple Knucker. That's the perfect. 3 Depth Horror Eternals. Those are just really angry ogres with Ensnare. It's scary. And then my only gripe is, why didn't you just take Bastion? Just take Bastion. That spell is stupid good. I love Tidal Swarms. I don't know why you need them in this list, to be honest. You're not trying to chaff your chaff. Just let it happen. But if you're going to double down on being H.P. Lovecraft, you do it this way. So Cthulhu approves. Corey's list, I like it. I love gargoyles. A horde of ghouls is a really inexpensive way to have 23 nerves sit on an objective. Lower Abyssal's Crushing Strength 1. I like. It's 200 points for actually decent damage output. Do I think it has enough damage output to chew through like 6,000 tentacles? No. Do I think Corey can just play the mission really well and make the tentacles come to him? Yes. This is really going to come down to token management, because whichever one of these lists has to go on the offensive, I think is the list that loses. But looking at the board again and looking at how we can space it out and how inspiring and unit strength goes, I think the Trident Realm player just has enough unit strength that is hard to kill, and there's only one little flame bearer unit this time. I think the Trident Realm player, Coke, has an advantage because 1 regiment of shooting is not going to take anything off the objective, really. So you have to fight, and those knuckers are going to pick their charges. So I'm going to give it to Coke.
All right.
So Corey does have a situation where he's got a lot of hitting on 4s and low attack numbers that those ensnares might be annoying. I do get Kyle's point of scenario here. This is actually a tougher matchup than I would have thought going into it. Bale's ability does nothing in this matchup. I guess you can just sort of the knuckers by going up balls to the wall and drop their thunders, but then they just run around you, so who cares? I don't know. I know Corey. Corey's a smart guy. I'm just going to go Corey for the fuck of it.
Okay.
I think we're all missing. I think we're all missing the big point here. Is that what you need to do is get on the rules committee, make the army you want to play really good, and then leave the rules committee. So that way, for a whole edition, you can play with your trashy depth whores, Jeff Swan.
I don't think we missed it. I just thought it was implied.
No, this kind of stuff we can't let stand. We gotta call it out. Call it out when you see it.
Are we talking politics now? Is that what we're doing?
I would like to be on the rules committee. 4th edition. Herd will be phenomenal.
We're talking Swanatics right now.
All right. Jokes aside, even though I wasn't joking, I'm going to go with Coke, his preferred name, I suppose. And the reason why is this is basically Bart and Sean's matchup. And I think this shows the difference that little extra shooting is going to make against this depth horror list that Corey's missing. So I'm going to go with Coke, and Bart's going to lose. He's going to win, and we'll all be right in the end.
Wait, if we're just choosing Coke over, I choose Coke.
Yeah, I mean,
not for the matchup, but just for general.
Over Pepsi?
Just in any drug or beverage, you always go with Coke.
Party things.
Yeah, it keeps you awake.
But Corey.
But you did go with Corey for the match, right, Mike?
Yeah, that was a drug reference. I'm sorry.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's what I thought. I'm just making sure I got it down.
Oh, the guy from Argentina, Coke jokes. Mike, ridiculous.
It's about having standards, Mike. I thought we talked about that.
Maybe.
Okay, and I think I am also going to go with Coke because having played Abyssals and liking this style of Abyssal toolbox sort of list, I do know that you don't want to see a wall of ensnare.
Agreed. Yeah.
So let's be honest. It has nothing to do with these lists. We just didn't like Bart.
That's fair.
Absolutely not true.
I picked Bart.
I picked Bart though.
Wait, did I?
I hope you lose on the
did.
inside, Bart, but I'd also like you to win so I get some medal that I'll put on my wall.
You did. Mike Austin voted for Bart against a clubmate. I'm just going to point that out. That's okay though.
Bart knows he's
your boy. It's all right. It's cool. I love both those guys. We're all winners here. That's really
That's not true.
Sean's
That's not true.
except for the half that aren't.
Yeah.
Right. 50% of the time, all of us are winners. So next matchup is going to be Alex Chavez versus, and this is the name that I know I'm going to butcher. So I'm just going to say Anabol and leave it at that. So let me see. Do we have anything fun about these lists?
Where's Anabol from, by the way? Do we know?
He is.
Alex
Spain.
isn't playing dwarves. That's fun.
He's not. He's not. I believe Anabol's from Spain. And let me see.
Don't worry, Alex put a very, very dedicated 15 minutes into his list. I was there.
So Alex wins the Spiky Bits Award for having the most units with phalanx.
Yep.
So that's who the all cav list doesn't want to end up paired with later. So here's Alex's orcs list.
And that's for me, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so we have 2 regiments of Morax, both with the Orcish Skullpole, 3 hordes of Longaxe, Brew of Strength, Boots of Striding, Potion of Caterpillar, all with Skullpoles. Young Axe, never heard of these units. 3 regiments of Young Axe.
Put him on the map.
A War Drum, Crudger on Winged Slasher with Blade of Slashing, a Flagger with Loot of Insatiable Darkness, a Crusher mounted on a Gore, Godspeaker, Inspiring Talisman, taking Bane Chant over Fireball and Heal 2, and doing the same with the second Godspeaker.
Yep. Coming in at 29 units strength, which I think is the second highest in the tournament. And he was the list that was just barely behind Ray Wyant's list for most unit strength per drop, FYI.
Yeah.
And then over to Anabol's list, Northern Alliance. So, Kyle.
All right, coming in with, AP's list. Northern Alliance, 2 troops of half-elf berserkers. I love half-elf berserker troops. Ice Naiad Horde, because why wouldn't you just want to be better Naiads? Huskarl Regiment, disgusting. 2 Snow Fox regiments, as you do. 2 Ice Elemental Hordes, because they only come in pairs. A Tundra Wolf Troop with Potion of the Caterpillar, which is kind of interesting.
Regiment. Get it right.
Oh, it's a regiment. Hey, you know what? If I learned how to read in school, this would be easier.
Not sleep on those.
Yeah, sleeping. The regiment's nasty. That's 18 attacks on melee 3.
Yes.
Lord on Frostfang, blinged out with Blade of Slashing and Snow Fox. Elsa with Bane Chant, heal 5 and Surge 8. And then Elsa with heal 5 and Surge 8. And then a Lord on Chimichanga, naked. So 13 drops, 22 unit strength. But that's actually a pretty hammery list.
Kyle, I don't know what kind of Mexican food you have by you, but that's Chimera.
Yeah, I mean,
just for next time.
Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
All right. So you guys already know who I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
I'll still talk.
Annabelle, I know.
Do not sleep on those Young Axe regiments. That is a legit unit. 115 points. You want to talk thick chaff? 115 points for a 13-15, 12 attacks, crush 1, melee 4. Like, that's we had some fun talking about that unit. For anybody that has not played against a horde of Long Axe before, you will not kill them. It's that simple. They do not go away, no matter how much you try. You got a War Drum behind you. You're 22-24. He's got heal. I know Mike did the whole heal stats before, but it does not account for the +3 heal per caster. So Alex has actually 10 heal on this list. 2 Bane Chants as well. There's a lot of crush. There's a lot of shit you cannot get through. And then you got a couple more X's coming in and stomping on face. You still got Crudron Wing Slasher, which is, in my opinion, one of the best dragons in the game right now. Obviously, I'm picking Alex. Nothing against anybody. I do like his lists. I think there's some good things. The Tundra Wolves are one of those units that I don't think a lot of people have really realized how good they are, and he's running them in a regiment with the Caterpillar, which is smart. It's a unit that anybody watching the cast is going to be aware of now, but anybody else is going to think, oh, it's just some dogs, and then they're going to get around you. They're going to hit a flank with 36 attacks on 3s with Thunderous, and you're gonna cry. So he's got a good list. It's nothing against him, but obviously I'm choosing Alex. There you go.
Sure. Tim.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't like Alex's list. You say it's good, and I just don't want to believe it.
Yeah, but it's Alex. That's the problem.
I know. That's
nobody ever, like, Alex's lists are never good. But he plays it. So if that guy actually played a good army, he'd actually win everything. But
yeah, what garbage he continually brings. All right. I mean, AP's list just seems like the well-balanced, got a little bit of everything flavor for Northern Alliance. You know, we got some Berserkers, some Huskarls. We got everything. That makes that army special. And it works well together. It's going to do its job. But, you know, all my games of this edition, all the events I've been to, which I guess is only 2 of them, thank you, COVID, I have had the pleasure to play Eric Trowbridge at both of them and his orcs. And the first one was a blowout for him, just totally demolished me. The second one, I think we at the Masters, we practically tied. I think he had 11 points and I had 9 points at the end of that game. So if we play a third time, I'm going to get him. But you just can't deny these orcs are good. They're solid. They do things now instead of just lose. So, I mean, I got to go with Alex, I guess. Alex has always been a bandwagon army player. Whatever the flavor of the week is, he's going to play it, and he's no different here.
That's not true at all. What are you talking?
It's the most truest statement we've said on this podcast.
It's not a podcast, sir.
Oh, whatever.
The guy won Masters with Doors when everybody was like shit talking Doors.
Hey, Mike, Just because you're the first person on the bandwagon doesn't mean it's not a bandwagon.
All right.
So I'm going to interject just so Tim quits listening to himself talk. Gets dangerous. So one thing.
Who are you going for, Tim?
I'm going to go with Alex.
Okay.
All right. So that war drum, AP's list doesn't have a way to snipe it out.
Yeah.
Even with heal and keeping it alive, that's a thing. But there's not like for example, Jan could just focus fire snipe that war drum out.
Right.
That's 2 nerve army wide. Like those young acts at 15, 17, or those hordes at 22, 24. I play Eric a lot. I've beat Eric a lot. I've also lost Eric a lot. Orcs are bullshit good. Especially in a mission like this where you can take those long acts and you can say, this part of the table belongs to me. My young axe can come over here and they can sit in the back and the more axe can be support. And then you got that dragon to go off and play. Alex's list, it hits the point of play the mission, but be scary. If you don't have cannons, just take lots of crushing strength.
Yep.
AP's list, that's the kind of list if someone says, hey man, you need to win this tournament. You only, you're taking all comers. You take a balanced list like that. It's got chaff, it has hammers, it has surge shenanigans, it has huskarls, it has a fast unit that can score, but part of its tools, I think, are mitigated by how thick those orc hordes are. Normally, you take those ice elementals up, you breathe on the unit, you charge into the unit, it's probably dead, or you try and get a flank. You're not flanking 160 linear feet of orc pike. I mean, Alex is probably going to be playing on 2 tables at the same time with that army. So you're not flanking it, and you don't really have a good chance to kill 22-24 in the front with breath and surge. So as beautiful as AP's list is, like that is a balanced list. That you could put that on a scale and use it to set. But it doesn't matter if you can't use the tools you have, because some little short guy with a beard was like, nah, I'm gonna make a line. So I'm gonna vote Alex. I think orcs are really good. I think Alex is good at playing them. And as beautiful as AP's list is, it's an all-comers list against an anti-all-comers list. So I'm good at Alex.
Sorry, I have to chime back in. Here's the factor, is it is a UB battle. Alex is one of those guys that's like, in a real game, he's just like a little, I don't want to call him sloppy, but he's just like, yeah, I'll wing it and figure it out. UB is such a technical thing that Alex is guy that's like, yeah, I'll just find good enough. And I could see him making a mistake and just being like, oops, yeah, I just gave up a flank and just lost the game. That's the factor. But
his effort philosophy.
Yeah, he's just a funny guy like that. So obviously, I'm still standing behind Alex, but UB makes it a different world compared.
It is different.
Yeah,
it's different.
Live game, I would double down and put $1,000 on Alex right now. UB, I'd put 100.
Yeah, I got to go with Alex as well because I don't vote against clubmates. There you go.
Bias.
No reason on that. Blatant
bias.
Hashtag
bias.
Being shown. Still being shown here. All right, on to table 14. We have Justin Berg versus Robert Hudson. I think this is a Northeast U.S. versus UK.
Justin versus who?
Robert Hudson.
Justin Hudson. Not Jake Hudson. It's Jake.
Justin Berg and Robert Hudson. Is this Sally versus Sally? Oh,
it is.
Okay.
I vote for the Salamander player.
Colin last, so I think Mike's up first.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Justin Berg, Salamanders. I do not know Justin Berg, but I will read the list. All right. We got, I like it, 3 hordes of Salamander primes. We got first one with Pipes of Terror, Effigy, and dropped the shield for Crush 2. Looks like all 3 are dropping for Crush 2. Second one has the Fire Oil and the Effigy, and also Crush 2. And then the third one's got Blood of the Old King, making its second appearance so far tonight, which is interesting. We have 2 Troops of Ancients, which I love. We have the Scorchwing regiments. We have 3 of those, which is fantastic. We have 3 Lecholidons, because you're playing Salamanders, you do that. A Battle Captain with Path of Fire. You know, that does Aura of Pathfinder for Geometry. Well, that's actually really legit. Then we have 2 Clan Lords on Fire Drakes, one with Sharpness and one with Elite, because we've seen that once before. There you go. There's your Salamander list.
All right. Now over to Robert Salamanders. Tim.
All right, we're going to continue with some lizards. We got 2 hordes of the Unblooded, 2 troops of Ancients, a regiment and horde of Scorchwings, 2 Rhinosaur Cavalry hordes, one with Boots of Striding, one with Potion of Caterpillar, 2 regiments of Ember Sprites.
Sprites.
Sprites. Just a little spritzing about the field.
Lemon lime soda. Sprites.
Let's see. A Clan Lord mounted on a Raptor, a Battle Captain also with Path of Fire, Battle Captain on Rhinosaur, and a Clan Lord on Fire Drake.
All right.
So they have the
Two
same
slightly
unit
different
strength
approaches.
and same drops.
Yeah. All right. Kyle, what do you think about this matchup?
So it's a super interesting matchup. Justin Salamander's list, its weakness is getting shot off the table, right? He forfeited a lot of defense. He has Scorchwings that are really fragile. He's got ancient troops instead of regiments as the main source of inspiring in that list is my guess, because those dragons are going to be off playing. And the battle captain is there, but he can't really inspire all 3 super well. It's possible. But Robert's list doesn't bring a lot of shooting. It brings a bunch of other melee stuff. In a vacuum, I kind of like Robert's list more. I think it has more tools. But in a one-on-one fight, tools don't matter if you can't stop 1, 2, 3, 4 hordes of pain. They're just scaly orcs at this point. And if you're focusing on those 4 hordes in the front, the Scorchwing regiments and the 2 Clan Lord, the Double Dragon, really get to mess with your line. And I just don't know if Robert's sort of utility list, which again, you want to win a tournament, you bring a utility list, you can handle everything. But he's against another just go forward, hit him hard list that happens to have dragons. And I think Robert's going to struggle to answer all those threats. So my tip of the hat is to Justin. But then again, I don't understand salamanders. So, you know,
Scaly orc. Come on.
They're scaly orcs. If you're going to pick scaly orc for scaly orc, Justin's list is the better orc list. So I'm voting for Justin.
All right. Mike.
Yeah, I'm going Justin's too. My argument is the double Clan Lord and Fire Drake. Those 2, and I don't know either of these players, so it's based purely on lists here, which is not always the case, but somebody that knows how to use those 2 properly against the other army is absolutely devastating. And I know he's got 1 on the other side, but 2 versus 1, the 2 wins. So that's my choice is Justin.
All right. Tim.
Yeah, I'm looking at the meat of the army first, the hordes and the regiments, and Justin edges it out there because he's got the ability to do that damage coming in with shooting, whereas Robert has a little more speed because he took the Rhinosaur Cavalry. But I think Justin edges him out there because he's going to get damage from turn 1 up until they get into combat. Looking at the heroes, that's where it gets interesting for me. Basically, Robert basically traded out the extra Fire Drake Clan Lord for a mounted Clan Lord and Battle Captain on Rhinosaur. So I think on the hero side, Robert's got a little more utility in this game, and especially in other games moving forward. That Clan Lord on Raptor is going to be an effective anti-hero, anti-flyer unit. But in this game, the shooting that Justin can put out and then having 2 dragons it's just what's Robert going to really do to answer that? You know, he's got the Clan Lord on Raptor is going to try to go get a dragon, but then the dragon's going to eat him. So got to go with Justin.
And the thing to point out is normally you take a mounted hero and you turn off shooting, but Licky Dons, they still fight. They're melee 5 with 5 attacks, crush 1.
Licky Dons, really?
Licky Don.
Criticize my Rehordia and your Licky.
Look, just because it's not pronounced Licky Don doesn't mean Licky Don's a better name.
All right. We know Kyle makes up words, Dublé, so don't worry about it.
I don't
All right.
trust it was the Midwest.
So that's a sweep from the panel for Justin. And yeah, I think you guys have convinced me. I think Double Dragons is probably going to win that one too. So
Dublé Dragons.
Dublé for the French. But we don't have any French players. So not
Except
this
Kyle.
time. Maybe next year.
Try harder, Mike.
So try harder. Try it. Like I didn't try to promote this internationally at all. Like,
But it's awesome that it worked out.
someone else did.
We know you didn't want them. That's why you paired them all against each other.
No, I think the UK players might be because of Matt Gorham that showed up in person last year and went back and talked about it. So I think maybe we got some that way. And the Spanish players, I think it was because a couple of those guys were on the live streams we did for Call to Arms, and they thought it would be fun.
The Call to Arms tournament did it. They think America's got this soft underbelly. They can just come in and wreck these tournaments. They're in for a treat.
They may be right.
We are certainly vulnerable right now. Let's just go ahead and put that out there.
All right, so moving on to table 15.
Let's get political.
Let's move on to table 15. We have Bob Asplin versus Mike Rossi. So this is going to be UK versus Northeast US. I got anything?
People are still named Bob.
Do we have a best kilt award?
I do have I have a best kilt award. Definitely go to Mike Rossi. But let me see. Mike Rossi's list gets the Medic Award for having the most heal.
That's a Mike Rossi. That's a Mike Rossi move. Just be nice, even to your own guys.
You know what? I hate when my shit dies, so I'm just gonna take all heal.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. He figured out his one weakness is his stuff dies.
It's like I just fucked it up, so I might as well just heal everything back up, you know?
I just this is so nice. He's like, you know what? I'll heal my own guys. It's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, we'll see if that works out this time. So who's got Bob's list? Who are we up to?
I don't remember.
Oh, let's try.
Probably.
Kyle.
I think it's me.
Okay.
You know what? I like mice so much. I'm going to read Bob's list.
Okay.
Abyssal Dwarves coming in for Bob. No fancy name. Kind of disappointed. -1 point. 2 Black Soul regiments. You don't get more generic dwarf than Black Soul regiments.
Yeah, that's about as boring as it gets.
They didn't take puppies, so -2 points. You're not off to a good start, Bob. Mutated Mastiff hunting packs. 2 regiments of those. No puppies. All right, you're -2, so -3 now. 2 hordes of lesser obsidian golems. You didn't take the belly cannons, but that's a personal choice. I like it. 2 abyssal grotesque horgs, 1 with the Appalachian moccasins, and 1 with the potion of caterpillar. No sharpness there. Interesting. Oh, triple heavy mortars. All right. Well, we're back to 0. You got all your points back. You actually took 3 mortars. You didn't try to hide behind friendship.
Man's man.
Triple hexcaster. Yeah, screw friendship. He's got 3 of the 3 guys, all with the weakness lightning bolt BS.
3.
An Ironcaster with Surge 8. An Abyssal Half-Breed Champion naked, and another Abyssal Half-Breed Champion naked. That is a list that doesn't make any mistakes on how it wants to play. 20 unit strength, 17 objective or drops. Objectives? I don't know. 17 drops. There we go. Words are tough.
All right. And Mike Rossi. So that's Mike.
And I'm still trying to get over that Bisseldorf list. All right. Mr. Rossi. I don't know if you're on here, but I love you forever. All right. Rossi, for some reason, playing Forces of Nature. Oh, because it's got a lot of healing. What do you know? We got a horde of primes with Kyle. I cannot compete with your names for the West Virginia boots. But he's got a horde of primes with West Virginia boots. Drops them down defense 4 for crush 2. He's got another horde with the Life Leech 1. They are sitting on defense 5. 2 hordes of fire elementals naked. 2 hordes of water elementals naked. They have regen, remember that. He's got 2 Pegasi. Grammar for you. Do those do anything then? What are they? They're just...
They score.
They are scoring, right? Okay. Sorry, I was like...
Right. They're 80-point scoring units. Yeah.
All right. He's got a Druid with Conjurer's Staff, Bane Chant, and Surge. Conjurer's Staff is awesome. Then we go down, we got a Tree Herder, naked, fantastic. He's got a Forest Warden with Bane Chant. That's another scoring. We got a Unicorn with Lightning Bolt 5. That's also scoring. And we have Unicorn again. This one's also Lightning Bolt 5. This one does not have wings. Sounds on foot, interestingly enough. So it's an individual. So we have, what, like 6 characters and 7 units? That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. All right. Tim, what do you think of this matchup?
I'm going to go with Mike Rossi's list. I think he's cracked the code. Just heal everything. You don't care what you do. Just heal everything. Play the objectives. Get shot at. Get punched in the face. And just heal it all back up. And Mike's due for it. He's due for a big win. And he's going to win this whole event.
Kyle.
Well, I really like Bob's list, right? It has the tools. It's got stuff to set on objectives. It has chaff. It has armor. It has hammers. But I don't know if it has a hammer that can one-shot something in Mike's army. Those grotesques hitting on 4s, they roll a lot of dice, but you have to one-shot what Mike has. And normally you just soften it up with the heavy mortar, then kill it. But Mike doesn't care. And if you don't one-shot it with the heavy mortar, Mike also doesn't care. And then end of the game, those Pegasi just go off and do stupid shit. Mike, you're a wonderful man, and I wish you the best on your victory because you're going to get it.
All right. Mike.
Mr. Rossi, your list is terrible. It's boring. You're probably going to win, but it's still a boring list. Here's what's going to happen is those heavy mortars are going to pop a unit early on, and then you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to throw things into the wind like you always do because you get so mad. And you're going to lose because of it. Here's what's going to happen is I'm going to pick against you and hope that you actually listen to me. When you lose a unit early on, don't give up. Don't just piss your units off into the wind for no reason, and you'll win. But you're probably not going to listen to me, so I'm picking Bob. There you go.
Cool.
Did you just insider trade your
100%.
chance at the medallion?
Actually shorting this battle here.
He just tried to reverse psychology with his own vote. I'm going to go with Bob because triple mortars.
Yeah, you never.
That's how I'm feeling.
At least he didn't try to pretend to have friends. He came to win.
Yeah, no. I'm looking at that and I'm like, 2 half-breed champions will just go around and get in the way or punch everything that will cast heal, and triple mortars will take off stuff and leave Rossi in a bad position.
But he's got
It's a pretty list. I really like Bob's list.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that is a split decision. It might go in that way. All right. Coming down to just the last 3 tables here. Coming up, table 16, we've got Matt Harvey from, I believe, the UK versus, and this is another name that I know I'm going to get wrong, so I'm just going to say Pascal, who I believe is from Spain. Let me see if we got any notes on these lists. Pascal, no? Okay. So then just on to
Fireworks getting real loud at my place.
So I think we're up to Tim.
Yep. And so Matt's list.
Yep.
Matt is bringing ogres. We have 2 troops of Red Goblin Scouts, Warrior Chariot Regiment, 2 hordes of boomers, Berserker Brave Horde, Siegebreaker Horde with Healing Brew, 2 Red Goblin Blasters, Ogre Warlock with the Boomstick and Drain Life 5, Boomer Sergeant, Berserker Bully, Ogre Warlord with Crocodog mounted on a chariot, and Garakamok.
Cool. And over to Pascal Sylvankin list.
All right. Vegan elves, which are also vegan. Sylvankin. Pascal's list is 3 hordes of forest shamblers, as you do. 1, 2, 3, 4 troops of wild Gur Panthers. Not something I actually usually see. I like it. Speed 10 Pathfinder Vicious is hard to be upset about. Stormwind Cavalry Regiments. He's got 2, one with the Appalachian Moccasins and one with the Potion of Caterpillar, as every double cavalry list takes. He has a Tree Herder with the Sacred Horn and Wilt Father, which that's the 9-inch elite to trees and verdant and lots of dumb stuff. And he has Cloak of Death on a model that doesn't die. Just a lot of bullshit. It's a rock. That's bullshit. He has a second Tree Herder, so that you also have the or a life. So he has Radiance Life and Radiance Death, or Cloak of Death, and then he has a Dragon Kindred Lord with the Staying Stone. It is 12 drops and 22 unit strength, but most of it is thick.
Yeah, I already forgot Matt's list, but I'm sticking with the elves on this one. That list is sick.
Yep.
I love what it's there for. I don't know Pascal, but I hope he knows how to use that list, because that is an awesome list. I love it. That's my choice right there.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pascal. I mean, Forest Shambler hordes aren't anything to write home about
Until they're elite.
Yeah, until they're elite. And then he's got the chaff he needs. Most of his list, a big beefy chunk of his list, is going to Vanguard up to get into good position early. Then the Gur Panthers have the speed to get back in front of them if need be, to be chaff. And the double Tree Herder list, Joey was playing around with a list similar to this. It's just, when you're taking an all-comers ogre list versus a tuned-up specialized list like this one, it's going to be a rough day for the ogres. I feel like it's just...
Also keep in mind that, like, this scenario, that a lot of people really underestimate the power of Vanguard. When you can take over half the table before the game even starts, it is mind-numbing.
It's Scout, Mr. Second Edition.
Oh, whatever.
The guy who thought that Barack Obama had the fucking ability that he never had.
That's because I can't read.
It's also because you...
All right, Kyle, what do you think about the matchup?
I like it. So Sylvankin are in a weird place where most people don't try to build it like this. They try to do too many things with it, I think, or they try to go all in on trees and only trees.
Yeah.
What he did was he's like, what if I just don't?
Yeah.
And that works much better than pretty much any other Sylvankin list I've seen. My worst defeat in tournament history was to a Sylvankin list that took trees and cav, because I couldn't crack the tree line before the cav made it through my flank.
Yeah,
and the Wilt Father just ticks that damage. But ogres are cool, but I don't think they can pop it.
Yeah, this is exact like Sylvankin list I would build and play. This is basically my old herd list, just better.
Yeah. Now I will say, Berserker Braves and Siege Breakers don't give a shit about trees. What they hit dies, but he has 4 troops of Gur Panthers that can just be like, hit me first.
Yeah, they don't care, and he's got the blasters, so if you do Vanguard halfway across the board turn 1 or before the game starts, you can run up blasters and actually probably get some good points out of them. But
it doesn't win you the game.
No.
So no, I think I'm giving it to Pascal. I think just calm play will have the Sylvankin get a win.
Yeah,
I mean, that list without the dragon is fantastic, and then he has a fucking dragon. It's so good. Yeah, he's got the right balance.
Yeah, and it is worth pointing out the ogres don't have an individual to ground it, right? So if you get in an angle where they can't get you, your dragon is free.
How many drops was the ogre army again?
14.
All right, so the dragon doesn't have that advantage, but if he drops that dragon in the right spot and just like spends 3 turns just positioning, it's over. The ogre, that's ogres in a nutshell, right? If somebody gets around you, you have no chance in hell, and that dragon is what's going to do that if he plays it right. I don't know him either,
but I like it.
That's a good list.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think you guys have convinced me as well, so I think I'm going to go with the Tree Boys.
It's because you're gullible.
All right.
Yeah.
I am. I'm super susceptible to peer pressure. Both incredibly biased and super susceptible to peer pressure. I'm a terrible person to ask for advice. So moving on to table 17, next to last table is going to show us Brian Tucker and Patrick Zoro Allen.
Oh, I've heard of both of these guys
The
before.
beard and then the pat. Oh man.
Right. Let me see. All right. No, I don't have any notes on these, so let's just go to.
Also, can I just vote for Patrick?
No,
I'm gonna go ahead and vote for Patrick before I look at the lists.
All
That's
right.
fair.
I'm going to vote for Brian before I look at the list because when we played at Mountaineer last year, he had me shit on arrival, dead, beat to rights, and I somehow beat him, and I feel bad for it to this day. So
I know what that
That's
feels
good
like.
old Brian Tucker for you.
It sounds like your Green Lady all over again, man.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
can,
yeah.
he can snap defeat from the jaws of victory.
He did everything he could possibly do.
Mike, I think it's your turn to read
All right.
the first list.
All right, we got Tucker's Undead. Thank you for playing. If you're playing like King of the Men, then I would take it back, but you're playing Undead, so it's fine. All right, so Brian Tucker, we have 2 troops of skeleton warriors. We might like to call them chaff. We got a horde of revenants, as is. We have a regiment of wraiths, as is. We have a regiment of mummies, as is. This guy does not believe in items, apparently now. We have a horde of werewolves, as is. We have 2 hordes of zombie trolls, as is. Are you guys sick of me saying as is yet? We have
Nope.
3 balefire catapults, of course, with the unholy flames, because I've played against Madkins with that, and it's obnoxious. Good call. We got a vampire lord with a brew of haste, and I thought about this for a minute. I was like, why did you take the brew of haste and not a mount? Well, you saved, I think, 25 points to do it, and I get it. He's got the lightning bolt 3. He's got a revenant king on undead great flying worm with mace of crushing, and a lich king with the conjurer's staff, which is all too good, with the lightning bolt 5 and the heal 6. 22 unit strength, 14 drops.
Yep. And Patrick. With
Patrick
dwarves.
is playing dwarves. Let's see, we got 2 regiments of Iron Guard with throwing mastiffs, 3 regiments of shield breakers with throwing mastiffs, 2 regiments of Iron Watch crossbows, 1 regiment of Berserker Brock Riders, 2 Iron Belcher cannon, 2 Dwarf Lords on Large Beast, 1 with Caterpillar, Berserker Lord mounted with Blade of the Beast Slayer, Berserker Lord with Wings of Honey Maze, and a Flame Priest, Boots of Levitation, Bane Chant.
All right. Kyle, what do you think of this matchup?
First off, Berserker Lord with Wings of Honey Maze is Bay. Wild Charge, the same as before that. Wild Charge plus D3 on the flyer, that 21 to 23 inch threat. This dude's got 7 attacks with Crushing Strength 1. He wants to find catapults on turn 2. And then he probably will. I voted for Patrick before we looked at the lists, and after looking at the lists, it's probably going to be closer than I thought. But I'm still going to vote for Patrick. He's got tools. He's got a lot of defense with those Iron Ground regiments. They are hard to move. Throwing Mastiffs are really strong against a lot of the smaller units that Tucker has, which, I mean, there's not a lot, but they can take out that Mummy regiment or the Skeleton Warrior troops just to get them out of the way. I say take out the Mummy. They won't take out the Mummy. They will soften the mummies. But if they can pop the skeleton troops out of the way, I don't know. I just I love Tucker's list. I really like it. I really like Patrick's list. I think all those throwing mastiffs really, Pat's goal is going to be to try and find one of those heroes, one of those vampire hero, the Lich King or the vampire, and just dive into it. He just has a lot of tools, a lot of mobility with the dwarfs on large beast, which for dwarves you don't normally think of as a mobile list. He's got that mounted Brock with Beast Slayer. He's got those 2 dwarf lords, and he's got the Brock regiment. And then he's got 2 cannons just to force you to not ignore him and sit in the back. So I stand by my vote for Patrick. I think his list has a little more edge and utility than Brian's. And it's got throwing dogs.
All right, Mike.
All right, I give my vote choice to Brian. Of course, I'm still going to acknowledge the fact that is Zoro. he's got a great chance. His list is great, obviously. There's 2 cannons that Kyle's talking about are a major factor with the kind of the game at hand. And obviously, knowing Alex has realized the power of those dwarf and large beasts, and I've seen it time and time again. So it's a great list. Don't get me wrong, but I'm staying by Brian because I still feel bad for the fact that I beat him that game. I should not have, and that's it. He gets my vote because of that and that alone.
The pity vote is strong. All right, Tim.
Well, I got to go with my voting decisions. Brian is a Southeaster. He is a groomsman in my wedding. So I got to go for him.
Bias.
Got to do it. But Brian has a tactic, as you had said, of putting together really well-crafted lists that you just are like, why didn't more people think of doing this? It doesn't seem that complicated. So he's going to do well with this list. You can't discount Patrick. For those that don't know, these two players, both are really good. Patrick, former master in the U.S.
The first master.
So you
Who played Undead.
You can't say
ironic.
When you say you're going for Brian over Patrick, that's not saying too much because this game could go either way super easy.
Impossible.
I mean,
they're both phenomenal Undead players, and Brian knows dwarves inside and out too. Like they know these lists, they know this game, and neither of them suck at all.
No, so this is one of those cases where
thank you for that.
This is a great example of where players shouldn't get mad at these kinds of list reviews because in every one of these games, it honestly could go either way.
Yeah.
We're just picking out of our butts here, but I'm gonna go with Brian because he's from the Southeast and it's as simple as that. But don't be surprised if Patrick does phenomenally well this whole event, and don't be surprised if Brian does phenomenally well this whole event.
This is probably a round where if we had a free abstain, I would waste it right here.
My vote was based on completely extracurriculars.
I would say
mine too.
I would say the saddest thing about this matchup right here is that one of them is going to lose and then play someone else who lost, who's going to have a great game playing that person, but just get housed.
No, they could draw. This is a mission you can very really draw on.
They could draw.
Mike, can we predict draw? Is that a thing you can mark down? I vote that this is a draw in Patrick's favor. Suck it, Mike.
You can vote draw.
I'm getting specific, bro.
You can vote draw if you want to, and if it's a draw, you get it right. If I vote them,
No, I'm not voting draw. I'm voting draw in Pat's favor. So it's still Pat. It's still Pat.
Brian doesn't Pat. He either loses or he wins. So I'm going to stay with Brian.
He's on Talk and Tactics for a reason.
That's right.
Cool. I think I am going to go with Patrick because he won the Masters with Undead. So even though Brian has, I love his kind of toolbox Undead list, but I think Patrick knows everything that army does.
I think Patrick has a couple of podcasts about Undead. I'm not sure.
A couple. And he's on the rules committee now, so I'm pretty sure he gets to just make up rules as he goes along now.
Is he gonna swan the Undead for us?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they totally need it. All right, now coming now to the last table. That is going to be Devlin Smith versus Jason Britt. Now, I said that I did travel groups by region, so this might look a little weird to folks who know these guys, but Jason Britt actually moved to Charlotte, I think. So he's actually in the Mid-Atlantic now. So apologies if you guys would rather be playing people from further away, but that's just how the first round randomizations ended up. But I think we do have something for one of these armies. Jason Britt. So Jason has a couple of superlatives. He has highest drops, I believe, at 21.
Jason also has Dino Lord approves.
Jason
the
also
first
gets
and only.
No, you did one earlier. And he also gets the Mad Bomber What Bombs at Midnight award for the most war engines. But first, let's take a look at Devlin's list. We back around to Kyle, maybe?
I don't know. I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go. I don't care. Empire of Dust for Devlin. Anger Piglet. That's his real name. The most huggable man in Kings of War, aside from me. 2 Skeleton Warrior Hordes. Naked. I know he'd appreciate me phrasing it that way, so I'm going to. Revenant Cavalry Troop. Revenant Cavalry Troop, both naked. Regiment. Naked, and then a regiment with Brew of Sharpness because it's cheaper. Enslaved Guardian Horde with Pipes of Terrar. And then a horde of enslaved guardians with the Appalachian moccasins. He also took the monolith, as you do. 1/2 Empire of Dust catapults with the scarab jars, gaining shattering, and that's a great rule. The Snow Snare, my favorite word. If you don't pronounce it Snow Snare, I don't know what you're doing. He's got a Pharaoh with Wings of the Honey Maze, the Fast Boy. And then Idol of Such a Dick. That's 2,300 points at, what do we got? 14 drops, 22 unit strength. That seems to be really, really common, Mike, that 14-22 split. I know you showed us the math that said exactly that, but now that I've seen the list, it's real.
Yep. So there you go. Third edition meta defined. 14 drops and 22 unit strength. Perfectly average. All right. Now Mike Austin gets the distinction of reading
Jason.
The full shooty.
Oh my God, Jason! Welcome to the Mid Atlantic. With the rest of the Mid Atlantic, if you keep doing this shit, but I'm just fucking maybe whatever. All right, Kingdoms of Men. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regiments of bowmen. 3 hordes of bowmen, because why not? You need that many units. We got 3 siege artillery. We got 3 cannons. We got 1 army standard. We have 2 assassins. One has the wings, one has the haste. Both have the indomitable will. And we have a wizard. One with the boomstick, of course, with the base lightning bolt 3, becomes 6. He's on Pegasus to become scoring. Another one on Pegasus, another one on Pegasus, one of which has Conjurer's Staff, another of which has no items. So we got 3, 6, and 6. We got 12 lightning bolt with scoring characters.
And you also missed that the ASB also has the diadem.
Oh, yeah. So this is the list.
So literally everything shoots.
You read and you're just like, this is fucking annoying. Not what the Mid-Atlantic generally likes to represent, but welcome aboard, bro. There it is. 21 units, 24 unit strength. That's a terrible ratio for drops to unit strength.
That is terrible.
So bad.
Goblin bad.
I think it's worse than goblins. It's like, what was it, like 1.3 or something like that?
That's not good.
There it is.
I think the most annoying thing about this list was if you were playing it in person, you have to sit there and watch him roll almost 150 shooting dice just to put 3 wounds on one of your units.
We call that the O'Neill experience.
That is the Jeff O'Neill, but Jeff O'Neill's good at it.
He's good at it.
He does that and he picks a unit off the board. Jason's going to do that and you're going to put 3 wounds on something. What makes it worse is you're not doing it in person. You now have to do that via a computer. Sit at your home while he has a computer roll all these dice for you to put 2 wounds on a unit. Go across the table, kill everything, and go have a drink. I'm obviously going to go with Devlin. Devlin's going to win this one. I'm glad you went all in on the shooting, but the Kingdoms of Men artillery and mages and that kind of shooting works because they have really good pit units, combat units, pole arms, spearmen. Their bowmen just they're just gonna push them aside. They're dead. Take them off the board.
Yep.
My mind is
going
so with
Dino Lord approved because this just do not take this the wrong way. It's a garbage list, and I love garbage lists so damn much. I run them all the time. Had you turned that category that says bowman into just things that didn't shoot, this list would be one of my votes for top table. If those were melee units, like 3 hordes and 6 regiments, and you're just like, I'm going to kick you in the nuts, I'm going to sit on objectives, and you can't fucking touch me. With those 2 assassins as your board control, and turn the diadem, which is cute, into a Bane chant like it should be. This is a disgusting list. Bowmen aren't horrible,
it's also a goblin list at that point.
They don't melee. Yeah, just play Kingdoms of Men is arguably better goblins because you have very inspiring and indomitable will. I don't want to hear about it, but I think it's a cool list. If you're gonna shoot. So kudos to you, right? That's 2,300 points of bullets. I mean, most of them are useless, but they're there. It is unit strength, and this is a mission we have to talk about though from a mission standpoint. Based on where those tokens are and the saturation of the map, if you use those regiments to run around and be chaff, and you let those hordes score, it's still a good deal of nerve to chew through while you're being constantly harassed by 6 artillery pieces, 3 models that fly. You have to keep those objectives for the wizards. So Devlin has 14 drops. The artillery is going to do stuff. It's going to put wounds down. The shooting is going to plink away. It's whatever it is, but the artillery is going to hurt.
It's going to have a lot of trouble, though. The problem is lines of sight are so difficult. It's going to be tough, I think.
He's
going to have 75% of his army doing nothing every turn. That's the problem, right? That's why it's worth them being RJ. If you're playing in last year's rules and some of the maps that I've been to tournaments in where it's fucking mostly open board, except a water feature in the middle, you win every game except one, right?
But table I played Tim Smith on, I lose every time.
I mean, there's plenty of those games that this army wins heavily, but I'm sorry, you're playing a Vanguard GT. Mike is not letting that kind of stuff win. Your war engines by themselves would have been enough shooting. Probably too much shooting, and then you now go off and put 60% of your army into shooting bowmen that are not going to hit anything.
That's the point. Is you switch all those shooting units to some sort of combat unit. You're probably going to get them for a cheaper point. You drop 1 cannon, 1 siege artillery, and you pick up 2 more Pegasus heroes.
Yep.
You're doing much better.
And you're disgusting, and you're still playing a Dino Lord approved, a much more Dino Lord approved list. So shooting regiments of bowmen on 7s is no big deal as long as you're getting to the objective and you're sitting there. And they melee as good as they shoot. Something not to forget: they suck at both. But it doesn't actually matter to bowmen if they're shooting or charging.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Devlin has to go. I think if Devlin sits, Devlin's lost the game because the archers will eventually get in a position where you're like, you can't shoot through me fast enough now, I've won. Yeah. But if Devlin just says, oh, we'll just go to full gear, I don't see a way that Jason on that map in this mission, because Devlin doesn't have to table him, he just has to win the mission.
Yeah.
Yep.
And such a dick can do that.
Shobik is just going to run.
Shobik doesn't give a shit about the list. And then there is stuff there, right? So if Devlin hides, Devlin loses, but Devlin's not going to hide. I've played Anger Piglet too much. He's just going to come out of the woods and hit you.
The key is he's going to know where his 2-point token is he placed.
Yep.
So he can push across the table to take that one, and then he's got the ability to hold back and try to fight for his half of the board.
Yeah.
As they say, it's really going to come down to the scenario.
Yeah. No, I think Devlin has the advantage. It's just if that was melee, I would really put Jason's list as like this is a top table list, but it's all shooting, and shooting is that's not the Dino Lord way.
Yeah.
So, but I love the list because it's garbage, and I love garbage lists. It's my fam.
Fuck you, Kyle.
All right. So that brings us to the end, and that's another clean sweep for Devlin, I think, from everybody. Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn.
This how many drops is that? Yeah, it's what. There's 21 drops. Yeah, anything above like 19 is cool by my standards. So much love.
So I have a couple of quick updates on matches that have already happened. So Shannon Shoemaker did in fact beat Joe Neat, but you all went for him. Dan Kemak did beat Brindley, so that puts Tim up by 1 point on you guys. And then Sean, I think, beat Bart, right?
Sean beat Bart.
So Tim is currently up 2.
Did I vote for Dan, or did I make a mistake and vote for Brindley?
You voted for Brindley.
Oh man, I did. I did say Brindley.
Yep, America's champion, Paragon. I know this game. I got it.
God. That's right, because I was so disgusted I had to vote for Brindley.
Yep.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the tables. So now I'm going to ask you guys just a few questions for fun. I'm going to ask you guys most memorable list. It can be the filthiest or the one you like the best or the one you would want to play the best. And I'm going to go around starting with Kyle. Favorite list that we looked at this evening?
Pascal's, because
Damn you.
His Sylvan Kin list is actually 2 drops different than mine, and I like his better, so I'm just going to scrap mine and use his.
Awesome. Mike, same question.
Was it the cab one? Where's the cab one?
The
Is that
10 drop parade.
Yeah, is that
One Sebastian?
Yeah, I'm going that one. I love it. It's
Solid cab.
I don't think it's good, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, I dig it as well. Tim, same question. Favorite list?
Well, I'm going to go with Pascal. I think that's a list, as I was reading it, I wanted to build just to play.
Cool. That's 2 votes for that. Back around to Kyle. Filthiest list that we saw tonight.
Pascal. I hate to say the same answer twice, but I love
That's
Pascal's
okay.
list. If you want to, if I need to pick a different, which I will,
No, that's fine.
I actually think Chavez's list has a really, really deceptively dangerous army, but
Okay.
it's still Pascal's for me. That list is, I don't know why I never thought about just taking more Gur Panthers, and it fixed all the problems. I'm like, oh, 4. I should have done that. It's
Just take 4.
brilliant. Yeah,
all
just
right,
take
Mike.
4.
Mike,
Alex,
filthiest list.
Alex's list, honestly.
With Alex?
I don't think anybody realizes how deadly it is. It's one of those lists that you look at it, you're like, okay, what's the big deal? And then you actually try to deal with it, and you realize you cannot deal with it.
He does that so many times. He shows up with like random models that he found at your house and plays with them, and then just beats everybody.
I was there when he threw the list together Wednesday afternoon. We were at work.
Right.
I was like, dude, that's dirty. It's so good. So good.
Tim, filthiest list.
I'm going to go with Jan's list. I think all that lightning bolt is really going to make some people very upset, especially on these maps meant to mitigate shooting. Hers can move around a lot better and pick more lanes of shooting. So
Valid.
I think that's going to make some people very upset, her list. While as a whole, it may not be that filthy, I think that shooting aspect is going to make people think it's filthier than it is.
Yeah, that height 5 nimble.
Yeah, just, oh, you're going to hide behind these trees? Well, I'm going to move my 6 or 8 inches over here, and now I'm going to shoot you again.
Yeah, that's good.
Shell the hell out of you.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Would any of you like to attempt to predict who is going to come in first?
Chavez.
Oh, come on. That's my pick, dang. Get the fuck out of here.
You can take the same pick, Mike. We can tie. It's cool. But his list, I think, is absolutely disgusting, and he's good at the game.
It is.
And
It is.
we were at the Masters. We saw what happened with Ogre. Sorry.
Tim, what do you think?
Oh, you're going to let me go. All right. I honestly, I'm going to go with Dan Kamek.
All right. For handsome Dan to win it all. And Mike, are you guessing Alex?
Me voting Alex immediately means that he probably won't. That's the problem.
Are you the bad luck? Are you the bad luck vote?
He needs to be
Well,
the
so
other. That's the problem.
here's the thing. Alex has won the last 2 Vanguard GTs.
Yeah, it was different.
Right.
He won the last one because he brought my army and won on painting scores.
Right.
So that was not fair.
Barely edged out Chris Fisher on the soft scores.
Yeah. I mean, it's between Shannon and Alex. Those are my 2.
I will say this, if this sways you, Mike. I picked Dan because I know Dan. He's due to win a big tournament, and I feel like his time is coming. But I would not hesitate to say one of the Spaniards is probably going to win.
Why are you telling me that like I care what you do?
Maybe that'll change your mind.
No, I don't.
Nobody
I'm
listens to you, Tim.
All right, fine.
I'm a loyalist here.
All right.
You painted your trolls yellow.
That's right. Mustard.
All right, you want me to go in on somebody different? I'll go in on. Let me go on the same one, Sebastian Ramos, for fucking funsies.
All right.
It's Cavs. If he plays Alex, though, I won't be upset because Alex's army is like the ultimate spite to that. But then my foot's in my mouth. It's either Alex or him. How about that? There's my pick.
There you go. All
There
right.
you go.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Any other predictions you guys want to make? Anybody want to try to guess Countercharger or?
How about the Shannon Shoemaker top 3?
I think Joey Greek.
Greek.
My prediction is Joey Greek takes counter.
Okay.
I love Joey Greek, but I feel like he's going to take counter because he's not playing creepy army, and it's just karma.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's not playing to win, he's playing to countercharge.
Look, play for countercharger, man. It's perfect. You get to play some new people. You get to play some regular. It's where you should be. I should know.
Honestly, the craziest
Peak of
part
the bell curve.
the Zorro versus Brian Tucker first round is like the biggest X factor in this tournament. It's those two. It's like those two, Alex, and then Shannon and a couple others. But those are like your top four that should make it into semifinal territory. And Tucker versus Zorro, it really messes up the entire end game.
If I have to pick a secret list, like one that I think is going to catch people off guard, I think Luis has a really strong chance at making top four. He was one of the hardest games I've ever played, and he played that list well. And it is this version is better than what he played me with.
I'd love to see that actually. His army is unique, and I think that's great if he does well with it. I would love to see that.
I think that's my surprise vote.
My surprise vote: no U.S. player in the top 3.
Is that just because you want to keep your title, Tim?
Well, yeah, of course, but also we're gonna go wild and crazy. I think that's something that might happen.
It's possible.
That's pretty good.
I feel like that guess just gives credit to all the players that are from other countries that we just don't know. So of course we can't pick them for any of these other awards. So
the strangers that we bashed on because we have no idea who they are or how good they are.
So that's your one shot at it. I have faith they probably could do that.
Okay, so I've got Kyle guessing that Luis will finish top 3, Mike Austin guessing the channel will finish top 3. Tim, do you have a top 3 player you would like to guess?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Joey Greek.
You son of a bitch.
But you just guessed no U.S. in top 3.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay.
You gotta cover your base.
Walking contradiction.
That's fine.
He bets 10 on black and 10 on red.
Every time.
And I lose on
Guaranteed win, baby. Guaranteed win.
I can do this all day. Okay, Mike or Tim, do you have a countercharger vote?
Yeah, Devlin's gonna get countercharger because the Blue City Brawlers always win their own award. That's why they made it.
I'm gonna put Larry Essick countercharge.
Seems solid. All right.
Damn hunters.
Normally, I do a top club award, but we didn't. I didn't really do clubs this time. But we do have
USA
countries and regions. But there's too many Americans to just pick the U.S. So I will say countries or U.S. regions. Do you guys have a pick?
Southeast.
Or who will finish top?
Spain.
Spain's solid. I heard Southeast from Tim.
Of course, I got to go Mid-Atlantic.
Got to go with the home team.
It's because you got that Kings of Men list there, Mike. I vote Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Spain has a really, really, really good chance, actually.
I think Luis is phenomenal, and talking to him and Sam, they're like, that region is just tough. So if those two say it's a tough region, I'm voting.
Yeah, I
it
think
is.
so.
They're good.
I also think that both the Argentinians are going to do really well because I think in Call to Arms, Kyle, I think Ezekiel actually finished tied with me and you. Like I think all three of us have the same points and that like 20th place out of 140. So I think those two guys will put in a good showing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think overall though, I think Spain might edge us out. So everybody else should watch out for the Spaniards. I think they're the dark horse.
That was definitely challenging.
All right. Anything else you guys want to throw out?
Big shout out to Mike for letting me come on here and talk about armies that aren't goblins.
Totally.
Kudos to you for putting this together. I wish I could play, but I have never played a Universal Battle game, so I didn't.
That's my thing. Same.
I can't take work off during vacation season. As a manager, I have to cover vacations. So
I hadn't played UB either until I realized all the tournaments were going to be canceled, and I was like, I guess I should play Call to Arms. I guess I should learn how to play UB. Do we have? Oh, Tim, do you want to do an upcoming shout out for your upcoming tournament?
So tentatively, TNT is still scheduled to be in person at the end of August. Unfortunately, today it looks like Nashville has mandated the wearing of masks, which means their 4-phase plan for reopening probably is not going to be achieved. So it's now back up in the air. The event organizers were pretty solid. The event was going to happen, which is NashCon. It's a big historical gaming convention. So the 1st of July, they're supposed to make their official decision on whether it's going to happen or not. So I guess now we're waiting to the 1st of July. But if it does happen, it's going to be 1995 points, 5 games. We're going to use the same maps that Vanguard is using. We're going to try to make it easy and friendly for people to get back into the rhythm of actually playing in person.
Awesome. Yeah, we went to that event last year and had a fantastic time. It is an excellent event with a great theme.
Yeah, we're going to have it all.
We're
still going to do the rings. We got all the belts. So if we can have it, we're going to do it. And we're going to do it just like we always do.
Yep. I mean, I got to play Kings of War in a steel cage. I mean, come on.
It's so amazing.
Bucket list checked. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Then I'm going to thank everybody for watching. I'd like to thank our panelists, Tim Smith, Mike Austin, and Kyle Donnell Poole. We're going through these. We will see which of you is the Oracle for this year. So far, Tim is up 2.
It's Tim.
So we'll see. Coming out strong before the cast is even done. First round starts at 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Please try to be on Discord about 10 or 15 minutes before that. I will do opening announcements via the Discord channel. There is a voice channel labeled TO Table, and that's where I'll be doing announcements from. So everybody, I would like to see everybody at the TO Table, preferably with their mics on mute, at about 10 till 9 tomorrow morning, so that I can go through the opening announcements, and then we will kick off with round 1. I hope everybody has a good time. I will see you guys tomorrow.
You sound like a raid leader, Mike.
Everybody sleep well, and away we go. Thanks so much, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right, and exit music.